broken baker, where crimes are baked in every show. Mysteries rise and truth unfolding. Ready, set, it's time to go. We sing it's time to go. Whistling clues, battering news, mixing stories, solving the lies. In this kitchen, secrets are broken, with a spark in our eyes. In the broken baker's kitchen, the secrets crumble like stone lights. We'll sift through clues to find the most, with a spark in our eyes. The broken arise. Broken arise. Welcome to the broken baker. Get ready. Let's go.
I'm Jimmy. How y'all doing?
The most important people in this case that everybody seems to have forgotten in this room is the jury. So we're going to take a 15-minute break and both sides take a pregnant pause and think about the jury.
Perfect timing. Just came back to court. Lunch was good. Meeting. Some people started yelling at each other. So that was a good meeting. It's always nice when they start yapping. Mo and I, we do it once in a while. She's been doing the Delphi with AJ. Also great content. Highly recommended. But Mo and I are like ships in the night. We pass each other. Sweet music arises. And then we sail on. Because Mo, she was a rolling stone. Wherever she caught cases was home. But she left me. Oh, she left me all alone. No, Mo and I, whenever we have cases that overlap, we try to help each other out a bit. But Mo is wonderful to stream with. But Mo is, she's also, she's been growing really well. And yeah, she's out doing her own little thing. But I was actually talking to her about, fix the audio, god dang it. Oh, another Baldy. I was talking to her if she might be able to come on my stream at some point and talk about the Delphi, because I know nothing about that case. Hey, Rachel. What the F is going on? Oh, now we have audio.
Are you a certified peace officer in the state of Iowa?
Yes.
You reference yourself as a sergeant detective. Are those two different titles?
Detective is what I'm assigned to.
Yeah, that's, I watched a bit of Andrea's also. Highly recommended if you are following the Delphi. Get the nightly rundowns by Andrea. That seems very sus as well. But I've reached out to Andrea if she might have time. I know she's really busy. And let's see how this goes. Maybe Mo can come on maybe in the weekend and we can talk a little bit about Delphi, because it seems interesting, but there's a lot to cover. And I haven't been on it from the start. The only thing I really know about it is the Odinism, because it's a crazy Danish lady who invented that. She's an absolutely fan of the painter from Germany, Austria, and invented that Odinism, which has nothing to do with the Nordic religion. So that's why I would love to hear Mo or AJ or Andrea come on and talk about it.
do. Sergeant is my ranking
How long have you been a
I don't
sergeant?
know that one.
since 2016.
And can you tell us what it takes to be promoted into the sergeant's position?
That's wrong.
It's up to the command staff.
Was that an interview process?
Yes.
Do you need a certain educational background?
I know they've changed it over the years. I think it's either I think it's a 2-year degree.
What's your educational background?
I attended the University of Northern Iowa and graduated there with a bachelor's degree.
And then you said you were assigned as a detective.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a specific, the word that's coming to my mind is bureau, but is there a specific set of crimes that you do detective work on, or?
No, we're just assigned zones. The county's split up into 4 zones. So whatever crimes happen in our particular, each detective zones, we're responsible for those crimes.
What zone are you assigned to?
Zone 3,
And what area does that cover?
it's the southwest portion of the county. It would include Palo, Fairfax, and Walford.
Has that always been your zone?
Yeah.
Detective Grote, did you become involved in the homicide investigation of Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes.
And when you became involved in that, was that in your capacity as a detective?
Yes.
When did you become involved?
On February 19th of this year,
And tell us how that came to be.
I received a phone call about 1 p.m. in the afternoon that day from my supervisor, Lieutenant Dave Buter. He had informed me that a deceased female had been located in Iowa County, and that they had information that she had possibly been in Morgan Creek Park. He asked that I go there along with a couple other detectives to check the area for any evidence that could be related to that case.
So after you received that call from Lieutenant Buter, did you then go to Morgan Creek Park?
I did.
Is the Morgan Creek Park that you're referring to in Lynn County?
Yes.
Was there a specific area within the park that you were asked to focus your attention on?
It was I believe it was the first parking lot, just as you come into the park off of E Avenue Northwest.
Do you know why you were asked to focus on that specific area?
Just very generally speaking.
Yes, he's chewing gum, and it's so disrespectful. I really hope that the judge will tell him not to do it. This isn't your first rodeo, cowboy. Come on now.
Okay.
Basically, they had maybe location data from some type of device that belonged to the female victim, was the way I understood it. And that's where it showed that it was at.
And so when you arrived at Morgan Creek Park, did you start your search of that first parking lot area?
I did not. I drove past there and just kind of did a overall drive. It's kind of a large driveway area. There's a number of different like separate parking lots. And then I eventually came back to that first parking lot that they were referring to. And I think when that happened, Sergeant Eric Lear was there, and then Sergeant Tim Payne was there as well.
When you went down this, I think you described it as like a long driveway into the park, were there areas down and along that driveway or other areas of the park that you also searched?
Yeah, there's a large playground area, a large pavilion. There is, like I said before, multiple different separate parking lots. And then there's also a off-leash dog park there as well.
Can you tell me or tell us, when you were doing the search of these areas, what's the search entail? What's it look like?
We were just looking for anything that may be connected to the victim in Iowa County. So basically anything that could look out of place, or maybe some blood evidence or clothing, or pretty much anything, personal belongings.
I know you named a couple of other sergeants that were involved. Do you recall how many of you were out there doing that?
There's 3 of us.
And approximately how long did you guys spend doing this search?
Probably 2.5 hours, somewhere in between 2 and 3 hours.
Was there anything of
How
evidentiary
many
value
shovels did you
found
use?
at the park during the search?
No.
While out in that area, did you attempt to locate surveillance cameras or anything of that nature?
So that's a newer area, I think, within the past couple of years, but they do not have any cameras at that location.
So you did attempt to find out if there were surveillance cameras.
Yeah, I was already aware from previous investigations that the new playground park area does not have surveillance cameras.
Where'd you go after you left Morgan Creek Park?
Sergeant Payne and myself were then asked to go to the Walmart on the southwest side of Cedar Rapids. I think he had sent Tim Payne a couple receipts that were located in a suspect vehicle during a search warrant.
And those receipts showed purchases made from the southwest side Walmart?
Correct.
Were you guys in possession of or sent at some point copies of those receipts to take with you out there?
Yeah, but it's unprofessional to chew gum. You do like me. I sit with my post-it notes like this all the time. I need a fidget spinner or something, but that's how I keep from going absolutely stir crazy sitting here for these many hours. But you just don't chew gum. It's not professional. It is Iowa.
Yeah, I think that came through through a text message.
So then did you go straight to
It's
Walmart
really
from there?
good because it's
As I recall, yeah.
Who'd you meet with at Walmart
on
to assist
prep,
in
because they are.
this part of your investigation?
It was loss prevention employee Tyler Heggie.
And did you ask Tyler to help you collect or find surveillance video from within Walmart at the time that court?
Nothing. He was at the crime scene. They searched it for 2 or 3 hours for personal belongings. Then they found some receipts. Now he's going to Walmart to check the video.
Related with those receipts?
Yeah, we would have provided him, either shown him the receipts or provided him the date and time of each transaction.
The first receipt, and I say first chronologically, but what was the date on the first receipt?
It was February 17th at 2:56 p.m.
2024?
Yes,
And so you say at 2:56 p.m., so the receipt also had a timestamp on it?
correct.
Can you recall, or do you have recollection of what was purchased during that February 17th, 2:56 p.m. trip?
I didn't at that time. The description, from the description, I couldn't tell what it was, but I later found that it was a digital.
You can always people watch at Walmart. Because I saw that family of 4 women where I couldn't figure out how they were internet related to each other. Really sus. They weren't, some of them weren't, the age difference was just weird.
Doorknob.
And when you reviewed the video from the date and the time that was stamped on the receipt that was recovered, were you able to see who was making the purchase?
Yes,
And who made the purchase of that digital doorknob?
it was the defendant, McKinley Louisma.
And just to be clear, is he in the courtroom today?
He is.
Can you point him out, describe an article of clothing he's wearing?
It's the gentleman sitting in the light blue long sleeve button up shirt.
Your Honor, if the record could reflect, this witness did identify the defendant.
It will.
The second receipt, chronologically, when was it dated and time stamped?
February 17th at 22:06 or 10:06 p.m.
And was the loss prevention employee, Tyler, was he also able to assist in pulling video from the store at the time of that purchase?
Yes,
Did you view those videos?
I did.
Can you tell us what you observed from those videos?
For both of them.
For the videos related to the 10:06 p.m. purchase?
Okay. So there were 4 videos. One would have been at the in the parking lot, showing the vehicle of the 3 people that were related to this specific transaction. Then there was an overhead shot at the self-checkout showing the purchase itself and the 3 individuals who were there. And then there was 2 other
Thank you, Max.
clips up at the front of the store, so past the point of sale registers, 2 different clips of them leaving or exiting the store.
And so when you're discussing these different clips and the location of these cameras, there were multiple cameras that were recording simultaneously during this time.
Correct.
And those different cameras would pick the defendant up throughout the store.
Yes.
Were you able to ascertain from your review of these different camera angles what the defendant was shopping for or what purchases he made in the store?
Yes, for that evening purchase at 22:06, it was for 2 machetes and 2 pairs of coated gloves.
And what's a coated glove?
I believe it's just a nylon glove that has kind of maybe a rubber coating.
And you saw that on camera?
Yes.
Did you also confirm that with the itemized list of items on the receipt?
Correct.
As you were viewing these different camera angles on the surveillance, were you able to take some screenshots from those surveillance videos?
I did not take any screenshots. I believe it was probably somebody with the Marion Police Department. We just forwarded the video in its entirety, the video clips, to the Marion Police Department.
Okay. Have you, since having retrieved the videos, seen the screenshots that were taken from the surveillance videos that were collected?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to show this witness State's Exhibits 7A through 7P, please. And I'm just going to go through them quickly. Detective Grote, do you recognize these photos from the surveillance video that was collected?
Yes.
And were these screenshots of video that was taken on the 17th of February, 2024?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state offers 7A through 7P.
Any objection to 7A
E.
through 7P? Exhibits 7A through 7P are admitted.
And may the state have permission to publish those exhibits, Judge?
You may.
Detective Grote, firstly, I want to there's a laser pointer up there if there's something that you want to draw our attention to. In State's Exhibit 7A, can you tell us what we're looking at in this photograph?
This is the sporting goods section at the Southwest Side Walmart. The 3 individuals on the clip, the one with the stocking cap, the white male with the stocking cap on the right side is Dakota Van Patten.
Would that be this person?
Yes.
Okay.
The subject to his right is Logan Kimpton, and then the male directly behind him is McKinley Louisma.
And in 7B, what are we seeing here?
McKinley Louisma.
Is that the same aisle that was seen in the previous exhibit?
Yes.
And in 7C, what are we seeing?
Dakota Van Patten.
7D?
The same 3 individuals. The first one, Van Patten, then Kimpton, then Louisma.
And in State's Exhibit 7E, what camera angle are we looking at here?
So this is above the self-checkout register.
And are you able from this angle to recognize the parties shown in this photograph?
I can, just because I've reviewed the video clip.
Okay. Who is the person in the bottom right-hand corner?
McKinley Louisma.
And the person in the middle, is this just a Walmart employee?
Correct.
And whose shoe and hand in a pocket is seen on the left bottom side of this screen?
I believe that's Dakota Van Patten's.
Excuse me. 7F, can you tell us what we're seeing here?
The purchase for
Now this is a machete. I can recognize this machete everywhere.
the 2 machetes. There's 2 machetes there, and then the same 3 individuals.
The person seen in the middle now, who is this?
Kimpton, Logan Kimpton.
And in 7G?
So that is Logan Kimpton's right hand inserting a $20 bill.
After you had an opportunity to review the video, did the $20 bill come out of the defendant's wallet?
Yes.
And in 7H, is this the second machete that was being purchased? As the other one's in his left hand?
Yes.
I don't know if it's clear enough for you to see it, but his shirt says never dies. that's a little omnia. I don't know what we call it, but that just hits a little bit different.
Speaking of 7H, there were items seen in this gray bag. Were those items selected from the store by the defendant or the two others that were with him?
No.
How did they get in that bag?
We had gone back to Walmart the second day for a few other things and were asked by Marion investigators to inquire as to how those two items got in the bag. In reviewing the video at the store, there was a Walmart associate who was at the register just prior to this transaction. It appears that she rang those two items up and then got distracted by either a text or a phone call on her phone and walked off, leaving, I believe, like a flavored water and a box of cookies in that bag.
And 7I, what are we looking at here?
That shows McKinley Louisma holding both machetes, and he has his wallet out, I believe. I take that back. I think those are the coated gloves in his left hand.
And in 7J, are you able to confirm that in his left hand is the coated gloves?
Yes.
What are we seeing in 7K?
They just left the self-checkout. McKinley Louisma has the gray sweatpants, dark colored hoodie, and red shoes. And then to the left, individual with the stocking cap on is Dakota Van Patten, and the subject that you can barely see is in front of him is Logan Kimpton.
And the three individuals that you just referenced, are they also shown in 7L?
Yes.
Shorter one is Kimpton,
Yes.
stocking cap, Dakota Van Patten,
Yes.
and this gentleman to the left with the red shoes is Louisma.
Yes.
And in 7M, is that a continuation of them leaving the store?
Yes.
Who's carrying the machetes in these photographs?
McKinley Louisma has the bag.
And the two long items, are those the machetes?
Correct.
When you say that McKinley Louisma has the bag, did that bag when they left also contain that flavored water and that package of cookies?
Yes.
7N, what camera angle are we seeing in this photograph?
It's the parking lot.
Same three individuals?
Yes.
On the left, is this Dakota Van Patten?
Yes.
And is McKinley Louisma the subject on the right?
Yes.
And then Logan Kimpton in the middle?
Yes.
And in 7O, what are we seeing?
They're getting into a dark colored sedan.
When you say dark colored, are you able to tell what color that vehicle is?
It looks blue. You may.
Come on now. Move it. Move it along. Yeah, but he could still not eat nicotine gum on the stand. He's not gonna testify for 5 hours, so he can or he could get one of those pouches. Come on. Move it. Move it or lose it, sister. What's going on? At least we have a court cover to inform us that there's still audio in court. Bum, 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 bum. What kind of car is it they're driving? Could be a sidebar, but we still have audio. Normally, we don't have audio doing a sidebar. Maybe the judge went over there and said, "Give me your gum."
Go ahead.
I think we talked about 7O. I'm going to move on to 7P. Same people, same car in the same parking lot.
Yes.
Was there anything, will you clear my screen, Judge? Other than being tasked with searching of the Morgan Creek Park and the collection of videos and investigation done with the videos at the Southwest Walmart, was there anything in addition that you did as part of this investigation?
We went to a couple other places to try to obtain video.
So just some canvassing?
Yeah.
Okay. And to be clear, was there any video found at those other places that you went to that was relevant to your investigation?
We had gotten a video clip from the BP in Walford of a dark colored sedan that looked similar to the one at Walmart from that evening purchase, but that was all.
The BP that was obtained from, was that BP selected because it was on the path to the Lily Pond area?
Correct. I had gotten information, or one of the detectives had gotten information from the Marion Police Department and specifically wanted us to check that BP.
Why does this cop and the cop we had before seem kind of like they are afraid to testify? They are all being tried separate. The other two doesn't have trial dates yet. They're probably trying to get this guy first and then the other two for, I don't know, more. Maybe if they get this guy, they can flip him and testify against the other ones.
I don't have any additional questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Detective.
Hello.
Let's go back and talk about your work at Morgan Creek Park, please, okay?
Okay.
You went there and arrived at sometime in the afternoon, is that right?
Yeah, it would have been shortly after 1 p.m.
Daylight.
Yes.
Your information was that Melody had been there very early that morning, is that correct?
I don't remember receiving a specific time.
And you were directed to concentrate on a particular parking lot, is that your recollection?
Yes.
you were looking for anything that may have evidentiary value.
Correct.
You were not the only one searching, correct?
No, there was 2 others.
3 total.
To my recollection, yes.
Now, do you recall?
You're still jumping.
Let's say from midnight that morning until when you were there in the afternoon, had it rained?
I don't recall.
Had it snowed?
We had mention of snow. Woohoo!
I don't know.
You spent 2.5 to 3 hours searching that area?
Approximately, yeah.
And you didn't know exactly what you were looking for, correct?
Correct.
But one of the things you mentioned keeping an eye out for was blood, is that right?
Yes.
In the hours that you 3 were out there, you did not locate anything that appeared to be of evidentiary value, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Detective. Nothing else.
Redirect.
Just briefly, Your Honor, I want to, Detective Grote, ask you just a couple more follow-up questions about that video scene from the BP gas station.
Okay.
When you saw the blue sedan at the BP gas station,
I don't know how the rules are. I can buy stuff like that at a hardware store, but I can then only bring it home because if I'm seen with it anywhere else than in my garden trimming hedges, it'll be a weapons violation in Denmark but so would me walking around the street with a steak knife. If it's more than 3 inches, it's a violation of the law.
did that vehicle ever stop at the BP?
If it did, it was very brief. It entered the parking lot, pulled up to one of the first gas pump that it came to, and then it kind of slow rolled and then left.
No one ever got out?
No.
And when you were watching the video clip from the BP with that blue sedan pulling up, slow rolling, driving off, was there any, did you see any law
Well, I got carded buying a beer and couldn't buy it, but I'm pretty sure I could just pick up a knife in Walmart.
enforcement vehicles or officers visible in that video at the time?
Yeah, you can't buy those little bottles for whipped cream anymore because the kids huff it.
No.
Probably because
I don't
that's
have
where the
anything
police
else,
have the surveillance.
Cross.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Take calls next witness.
Roger, take calls, Trevor Weiss.
Trevor Weiss.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. If you would please start by stating and spell.
What the F is this outfit? He took on his court clothes today. That's why you leave the bar, go to Walmart, and then back to the bar. I'm pretty sure Valhalla was close to doing that.
Your full name for the record.
Trevor Weiss, TREVORWEIS.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Weiss, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? First of all, how old are you?
I'm 30. July 8th, 94. I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Born and raised here. I work at Lebowski's in Robbins, Iowa. I live in Tower Terrace Trailer Court. I got a dog.
I'm in love with this guy already. Can tell you a little bit about yourself. Got a dog, live in a trailer park. I don't know what Lebowski's is, but I'm going to go there and buy a beer.
Spend most of my time with him. Other than that, work, sleep, and take care of the dog.
All right. The dog's name?
Dash.
What kind of dog is it?
Black Lab mix.
So just you and your dog live at the
Yes, sir.
trailer? What's the address of that trailer, you guys?
2728 Morning Dove Lane.
What city is that in?
Hiawatha, Iowa. 52233.
What's the name of the trailer park?
Tower Terrace Trailer Court.
Jamie, you are a fashion expert. What do you make of this strapping young fella?
This guy.
I love
laughed
him.
out loud before I was getting on. 'Cause it sounded like a dating profile. I like to hang
Yeah.
out with my dog. I live over here and I work at this place, and I just hang out with my dog, hang out.
I work, sleep, hang out with my dog. Swipe right, please.
It's so funny.
Yeah. I bet you half his Tinder pictures is him and Dash.
Well, I feel like I didn't hear them ask him like what he does with his life.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. And he
Oh,
started
okay.
out saying, well, I work at
Oh, he went
Lebowski,
in. Yeah.
born and raised. I have a dog named Dash, Black Lab mix. If anyone knows this fella, make him call Jamie.
No, it's fine.
How long have you lived there?
I've been there for a year.
You said you work at a place called Lebowski's, and I think you're wearing the gear right now, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Tell us about Lebowski's. What's that?
It's a bar and grill in Robbins. I've been there 4 years. I'm a cook.
Look at him.
I make food for the people of the surrounding area, and that's about it.
You been a cook the whole time you've been there?
Yes, sir.
What kind of hours do you work?
I work mainly night. Monday, Tuesday, I work from 3:30 to 8 o'clock-ish on Monday. And Tuesday, I work from 5 to close. Wednesday, Thursday off. Friday, I work during the day. Friday is 11 to 4. And then Saturday's 5 to 11. And then I work all day Sunday from 10 to...
Swing by, say, hey,
Yeah.
Trevor said double up on the potato skins. I love this fella.
He gave his whole work schedule.
I love it that, yeah, if anyone is in Iowa, needs some extra potato skins, Trevor will hook you up.
Trevor is the guy.
Hey, Jenny. Well, we just jumped on it when it started this morning. Yeah, Marissa needs a big raise because she made Gum Guy go away.
About 8 o'clock.
How many hours does that add up to?
I mean, bi-weekly, it's about like 32, 35. And on a 2-week check, it's about 62, 65.
Is that pretty much the standard hours that you work then weekly?
I have one
Yes,
in
sir.
Reykjavik.
My schedule doesn't change and it hasn't changed.
Have you always been a
Why,
cook out there?
Yes, sir.
What's the best thing to get at Lebowski's?
Oh my God.
The dude fries.
The dude
You
fries.
working at Lebowski's back on
Dude
February
fries.
17th and 18th of 2024?
Yes, sir.
So February 17th was a Saturday, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, what shift were you working that Saturday?
5 to 11.
Dude fries is waffle fries topped with pulled pork, shredded cheese, onions, and drizzled with sweet and spicy sauce. $14.
That's a hearty meal.
Is 11 o'clock basically close time?
It is close time, yep.
I don't like pulled pork.
Pulled pork is so good. You get out of here.
Shifting gears a little bit, do you know a gentleman by the name of McKinley Louisma?
I don't know him by McKinley, but I know him by Ken.
Okay.
To try and make him relax, I think. And this guy's just an oversharer. So they just go with
He's so
it.
nervous. You can tell.
Yeah.
He's just, who wants to sit here in a murder trial?
Yes, it's a Big Lebowski themed bar in Robbins, Iowa.
You see Ken in the courtroom today?
I do, sitting right there.
Could you describe what he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue shirt, wearing black pants.
The gentleman over here by his attorneys?
Yes, sir.
May the record reflect the witness identify the defendant, Your Honor.
Will.
Trevor, how would you describe your relationship, if any, with Ken back
I
around
met him.
February 17th of 2024?
I met him through my mom, which she lived right around the corner at the time. He was just a ride to work. He'd come pick me up. He'd drop me off. Basic to minimal communication, nothing out of sort.
You said you met him through your mom. Who's your
Correct.
mom?
My mom is Patricia Bascom.
Trevor, sometimes when I ask questions, I pause a little bit before I'm done. So if you don't mind, kind of wait until I finish. I'll try to do better at that.
Okay, sounds
We'll
good.
talk over each other. Where's your mom live?
She lives out by Prairie now, but she moved from that address.
Did she live out by you in that trailer court back in February?
Correct.
And who did she live with?
Alan, which is her boyfriend, and that's about it.
At some point in time, was
And that's all I have to say about that. He doesn't like Alan. Jamie, a
Oh.
golden nugget burger, white cheddar nuggets piled on a juicy burger with cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
I could do that.
See? Yes. Well, yeah.
The Lebowski is thick cut bacon, cheddar cheese, onion rings drizzled with sweet barbecue sauce. No, thank you.
the defendant living over there with her?
Yeah,
Staying
Ken
there?
and his girlfriend at the time.
Remember his girlfriend's name?
I do not.
So round about February 17th and 18th of this year, with Ken and his girlfriend also living with your mom, Patty.
Correct, yeah.
Remember the name of the street they lived on?
It was right around the corner. I don't remember.
Is there
Well,
a Hummingbird Lane out there?
yeah, it was right around the corner. Yep, Hummingbird Lane.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Logan Kempton?
That's my nephew.
So if he's your nephew, then would he be Patty's grandson?
Correct.
Did he also live there or stay there at the time?
He was bouncing back and forth. I didn't really keep too much tabs on him.
Did you have any contact with the defendant on the evening of February 17th, 2024?
Yeah,
Can you tell us how you came into contact with him?
I needed a ride home from work, and he came and picked me up. So after I got off, I got in the car with them. He drove me from Lebowski's. We went down the main street there in Robbins. Then we went over the bridge and took a left on Robbins Road. And then as soon as went down a little ways, then took a right onto Tower Terrace, and then went straight from there and then the roundabout, and then straight, and then took a right onto Morning Dove, and then dropped me off.
How long a ride is that?
It's about 8 minutes car ride.
Good Lord.
He
How did you
is.
arrange
I
for
love
him to
this
pick you
guy.
up that night?
I messaged him. Well,
He's so precise.
Was he agreeable to give you a ride?
yes, sir.
Is that something he would do for you on occasion? Do
Yes, sir.
you remember approximately what time he picked you up or arrived at your workplace?
About 10:30.
You said 11 o'clock was closed, right?
11 o'clock is closed, yep. But they probably,
I love this guy. He's an oversharer and he's super nervous, but I think he's a cool dude. He's one of those who would just do a little trick with the bottle so you get a little bit extra. And they have a bullet rye. I like bullet rye. So the next time I'm in Iowa, I'm going to go there.
he arrived a little early, 10:30, 10:45-ish. And I got done around 10:58 that night.
You said they. Was there somebody with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Dakota Van Patten.
MG was in his storm cellar this morning. That's all I've heard from him. So I don't know if anything else has happened.
When the defendant and Dakota Van Patten arrived at Lebowski's to pick you up early, did you make contact with him and tell him that, you needed more time or anything like that?
No, I just finished up my work and got my work done, and then got a ride home.
Did you know Dakota Van Patten before that day?
I did, but it was minimal communication before then.
Where
I
had
met
you
him
seen
through.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Where had you seen him before?
My mom's house on Hummingbird Lane.
Did you
Why
recognize
are all
him at
these
first?
people at his mom's
I
house?
did, yeah.
First of all,
Because of Alan. Why do you think he doesn't like Alan? Alan is dragging all of these.
well, no,
crazy
wait,
people in
is
there.
Alan, because all these kids are like 20, like what, 20?
I don't know who Alan is. Alan hasn't been mentioned before, but I blame Alan.
I thought Alan was his mom's girl. Wait,
Yeah, he's his boyfriend, and that's all I want to say about that. So,
so it's his mom's boyfriend, Alan.
yeah. And that a-hole is always coming in saying, hey, you and Daz want to go fishing? And he says, get out. It's my room. I said, yeah, but buddy, I just want to hang. Alan
I
is
don't
an
know.
a-hole.
I'm just like, why are these young kids hanging out with his mom and Alan?
Maybe his mom is a cougar.
Yeah, maybe she's a cougar, and Alan is friends with all these people, went to school with them. Okay, that was just my question. He kept saying I meet all these people at his mom's house. I'm like, what? Through his mom. I'm like, well, how old is your mom?
I don't know. Alan is, but Alan is the a-hole. Mac, if I get more clips, my ending of the show will be 2 hours long.
Did you figure out that the two of you, and that's you and Mr. Van Patten, that you had met before?
It took me a while, but yes, I did, yeah. I met him through his brother.
Who's his brother?
I forgot his brother's name.
Do you recall sometime around this time period, you received a request on Facebook, what we call a friend request from Dakota?
Correct.
And is that something that you still had on your phone and had on your phone to provide law enforcement?
I believe so, yeah. I didn't accept it at all.
Your Honor, may I show the, one second. Before I get to that, Trevor, when you got into the car to get a ride home from Lebowski's, do you remember where you sat in the car?
I sat in the behind the passenger.
And when you sat behind the passenger seat, then did you have to maneuver your way into the car to get in there?
No.
Open the door, go in the car?
Just open the door and get in and close the door.
And it was the passenger side back or the
Passengers. It was a passenger side back, like behind the passenger, because there was somebody sitting in the passenger driver, and then I got behind the passenger in the back seat.
Okay. And who was driving?
Ken was
Where was Dakota sitting?
passenger, front seat.
Your Honor, may I show the witness states exhibit number 8A and 8B for identification? Trevor, do you see states exhibit number 8A?
Correct.
Do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
Okay. And then I'll show you states exhibit 8B. Do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
And what do these exhibits contain?
A friend request from Dakota.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the friend request as it appeared on your phone from who you learned to be Dakota Van Patten?
Correct.
Move to enter states exhibits 8A and 8B, Your Honor.
Any objection to 8A or 8B?
Could be, Jenny. That's not the same at Jamie's mom's house. Even Jamie doesn't get food with her from her house.
I don't take it though.
Exhibits 8A and 8B are admitted.
I cook better than my mother.
Yeah, but you didn't get
Trevor, in
leftovers.
front of you, we have states exhibit number 8B.
Very on
first. Can we publish
Midwest
that,
of
Your
your
Honor?
mom.
Yeah.
May.
Thank you. And what does 8B then depict?
If I need to respond to their question,
Is this, what's depicted in states exhibit 8B? Is that your phone?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And is this what is referred to as like a profile page for Facebook?
Correct.
Is this the profile page of who's described as Coda Smith, but you learned to be and knew as Dakota Van Patten?
Correct.
And this is
Well,
the way it
look at
appeared
'em,
on your
Baker,
phone
they're
when
so
you sent
gangster.
the request and you looked to see who it was?
Yes, sir.
Now I'll show you states exhibit 8A.
It's like seeing me in my hoodlum state. Oh,
And
Yeah.
who's-
oh my.
what is depicted in states exhibit 8A?
Profile picture.
So is this the, maybe the close-up or what happens when you tap on the profile picture of Coda Smith?
Yes, sir.
And is this the same person who was in the car when Ken, the defendant, picked you up on February 17th, 2024, known as Dakota Van Patten?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Judge. So during that 8-minute car ride, do you remember anything about the conversation that took place?
I remember when we got to like Tower Terrace Road, and then we came up and saying that that don't tell my mom, but they're trouble together, like hanging out, Ken and Dakota. That don't tell like my mom like that they're together.
Wait. You have to have your mic. You may.
Who uses Facebook anymore, and who puts a shower picture on their Facebook?
I mean, people are still using it. I don't know who.
So I think where we left off, though, counsel, you had stated an objection.
I think the last thing I put up there, other than hey, I became a grandpa, was Merry Christmas.
I haven't
My
had a
understanding is
Facebook in
that
years.
counsel is going to try to clear up the matter, and then you'll restate the objection if appropriate. Go ahead.
I think it was a
We were talking about
shampoo
conversations that
bottle.
took place in the car, Trevor.
Yeah.
And you were starting to tell us about that, but before you do, I wanted to ask you, who was
Oh.
talking or telling you about the two of them, that's Ken and the defendant and Mr. Van Patten being together? Who was talking at that time?
Ken,
So when the defendant was talking about being together with Mr. Van Patten, did he tell you not to tell your mom that?
correct.
And did he tell you why?
Please approach.
I use the messenger app to communicate with my family, but I never. Every time I go in there, it's nothing but advertisement and some clickbaity. Number 4 on the list will surprise you. No,
Yeah.
it won't.
I still have lots of friends that use it. I haven't had one in a long time.
Objection's overruled.
Trevor, did the defendant tell you why he didn't want you to tell his mom that he was with Mr. Van Patten?
That I didn't want to tell my mom?
Yeah.
Because they would get in trouble together.
Why? How old is this guy, first of all?
Anything else happened
He's
during that
30.
car ride?
No, it was a pretty
Oh,
smooth
yeah,
car
he
ride,
did say
sir.
that. Why does he?
Did you have
can't tell his
contact
mom?
with the defendant, Mr. Louisma, again after he dropped you off at your house?
Not again until the morning after. It was a Sunday morning, about 8:30, came knocked on my door, knocked on my window,
Okay.
finally go ahead.
And then what were you doing when he came to your house and he knocked on the window?
I was sleeping.
Did that wake you up?
Yes, sir.
And when you heard the knocking, then did you do something to see who was there?
I did.
Okay. What'd you do?
I then waved him over to come to the door, and then I opened my door. He stood right in the landing area of my front, like in front of my house. And then then he was like, if somebody approaches you, ask you questions, just tell them I was here all night playing video games. And it was kind of, raised questions in my mind.
So he told you that if someone asked to say that he was with you all night playing video games?
Correct.
And when he said that to you, did you tell him anything?
No, I just said that he had to go, and then he proceeded to leave.
You see where he went?
He went back to my mom's.
You said that happened about 8:30 in the morning, then the next morning on Sunday?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
You're gonna bring in his mom.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Weiss.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about this 8-minute drive from work to home, okay?
Okay.
You'd only known Ken, my client, for about 2 weeks on that night, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
He'd given you rides to or from work before?
Correct, yep.
And so this night was not unlike any of those other nights, agreed?
Agreed.
Took you about 8 minutes to get home?
About.
You were anxious to get home that night, weren't you?
I was ready to get home, yeah.
And so you were kind of thinking about how you were looking forward to getting home, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry, yes.
I'll do a rundown when this witness is off the stand. I love him.
That's okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And when you were in the car, there was conversation among all 3 of you, correct?
Correct.
Now, today, your testimony was that during that 8-minute car ride, Ken said, don't tell your mom, correct? Is that right?
Correct.
And that he went on to say, don't tell your mom because he and Dakota tend to get into trouble together. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you and I have talked about this 8-minute car ride before today, haven't we?
I believe so.
At your deposition?
I believe so, yeah.
That was on July 25th of this year. Do you recall that?
I do. Yeah, I do, yeah.
It was here at the courthouse, is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
And you were under oath,
Yes,
and we had a chance to talk about this just like we are today.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
agreed.
And this conversation in the car came up during our deposition, didn't it?
I believe so.
Have you had a chance to review your deposition transcript before today?
I have not, no.
So today, it was your testimony that Ken said, don't tell my mom because we get into trouble, correct?
Correct.
But that's not what you told me in your deposition, is it?
I don't remember.
Would it help you if you had a chance to look at that transcript?
Yes.
Counsel, and for the record, this is page 21, starting at line 20. May I approach, Judge?
You may.
Mr. Weiss, I'm going to set this in front of you.
Okay.
And give you a chance to read it. Please just read it to yourself,
Okay.
not out loud. Read as much as you need to remember this.
All right.
And I'm going to direct your attention to line 20, okay?
Well, that's a breakdown. Goosetooth, this is a trial. McKinley Louisma is on trial, alleged multiple crimes, but Redrum and kidnapping of a 20-year-old girl who had some mental difficulties. She was probably age appropriate with a 14-year-old. She might have been pregnant at the time. They had been in a relationship. He had another girlfriend who was also pregnant. They believe they made a plan to kidnap her to extort money from her mother or something, and ended up unaliving her with some machetes. So
Well,
far, we have.
pregnant girlfriend gave him an ultimatum, so I think I had a lot to do with it too.
Well, women say so many things.
You
Don't
know
listen to
how
them,
it is.
Jamie. But so far, we have had police officers and the lady who found the unalived body. We've seen photos from the Walmart where they bought the machetes. Machetes. No. Machetes. Machetes. And this guy rode in the car with them home from work before they then went on to do what they allegedly did. Two other are charged in the same offenses but haven't had trial dates yet. Yes, she had some complications that day. That was stated during opening statements.
Yeah, the other girlfriend was pregnant. They said
Yeah.
that.
And Tim, yes, this is the dude. He works at Lebowski's. He works 35 to 40 hours a week, mostly night shifts. Other than that, he goes home, sleeps, plays video games, and hangs out with his Labrador mix called Dash. And he doesn't like Alan. Alan is an a-hole who's a boyfriend of his mom. I love this guy. Two machetes.
Yeah,
Two
they looked
machetes.
really. I seen it when I was in the meeting. They're like they were in like plastic, like a plastic thing, and like you would just take a knife out of it. It was so cheap.
Yeah. Probably why they didn't really get to chopping her up, but more just slicing her up.
Ugh. And using the U-scan, like U-scan and some machetes, like come on.
Well, no questions asked.
I know, but still, it's just so stupid.
No, Alan isn't involved in it. Alan is his mom's boyfriend, and he does. That's all I'm going to say about that, Sue.
And he
That's
met
about
these
it.
people through his mom and
Yeah.
Alan, apparently. So that's like where that comes into play.
The other people are the other ones who were in the car. That Coda guy who took pictures in his bathroom, and I can't remember the name of the last one. We need to hear Alan's side. Will he take this? And this will turn into a family feud. I'm trying. Don't be lost, Sue. It's easy. I wish they would show the autopsy photos. I'm a visual learner. Luckily, they didn't show those pictures. I don't think they were nice to see. I believe Alan is a big old a-hole. That's why his mom moved out north, and he's staying at the trailer park. Well, he doesn't say anything about Alan other than it's my mom's boyfriend, and that's all I have to say about that.
because I may ask you a question next. I'm going to ask you to keep reading.
This guy is involved in the case because he rode in a car with them, and the defendant said, "Don't tell your mom, we'll get in trouble because me and Coda are trouble." And then he arrived at his house in the morning. No, Cato arrived at the house, knocked on the window, and said, "Hey, let me in here and say I was here all night."
Into the next page again, just to yourself.
Jamie, don't tell anyone, but I went to school with a guy called Alan, and he watched so much Corn that he could tell who the male star was by the discharge. Don't tell Chad about it, Jamie. It's
Oh, no.
don't
I
talk about
don't,
it.
yeah.
But he could say if it was Peter North or whoever it was.
Said
Oh, my word.
that they got in trouble together. That is not what your testimony was in your deposition, was it?
Correct?
In your deposition, you said that was simply your impression
Yeah.
from what had been said, correct?
Yeah.
And actually, in your deposition, you said, I don't even remember who said that to begin with, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Redirect.
So,
Thank you.
sometimes we see the deceased.
Trevor, you just showed a copy of your deposition.
Correct.
In the case with the lady who was stabulated 55 times, I took it off screen when they showed her innards. It wasn't pretty.
And at the time you gave the deposition, remember when that was?
July 25th.
As you sit here today and you were answering questions under oath, did you remember who it was that said that in the car?
I don't remember exactly, but I haven't really been feeling too well.
Well, today, when we asked you, you said it was McKinley that said that.
Yeah.
As you sit here today, do you remember him saying those words?
I don't know.
At the time that this exchange took place, who was living with your mom?
Who was living with my mom?
Yeah.
Well, my mom's boyfriend and just her that I know of, and then Ken and his girlfriend were staying there.
And did
So Ken was living with
Dakota
his
Van Patten, to your
mom?
knowledge, ever live with your mom?
No, sir.
Why is she doing that?
Other than being at your mom's house when you met him once, do you know if Dakota Van Patten knew your mom at all?
Well, I would assume so. If he knew my mom, that they were over there, yeah.
In prior conversations with Dakota Van Patten, did he refer to your mom as in this way at all? Talk about don't tell her something, things like that?
No, sir.
The other guy who is waiting for a trial is Dakota Van Patten, or as you would call him, Van Patten, which is incorrect because it's a V in German, that's an F. And they were seen buying it, and then a third man called Logan Kimpton is accused of helping purchasing it. So these are the three suspects in the different cases.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Across. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I don't know. February 24.
State
Oh,
calls
that
next
case,
witness.
that's the second to last case we covered.
State calls Jan Abel, Your Honor.
Yeah, and we saw John O'Keefe's autopsy as well. We do see it sometimes, but most of the times they just don't show it on. Well, sometimes court TV shows it, but Law and Crime always never shows it.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do. Please state and spell your full name for the record.
My name is Jan Abel, Y-O-N,
No, prosecutor is never using his microphone correctly.
A-B-E-L.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you tell us how you're currently employed?
I'm a detective sergeant with the Linn County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you been employed with the Linn County Sheriff's Office?
28 years.
Certified peace officer in the state of Iowa?
Yes,
Did you have any law enforcement experience prior to becoming employed with Linn County?
I did not.
And what's your educational background?
Received a Bachelor of Arts in General Science from Coe College in 1995.
Your current role is Detective Sergeant. Was that also your role in February of 2024?
Yes.
And when were you assigned to be a detective?
2011.
You said 11?
2011, correct. 13 years.
Detective Abel, did you become involved in the death investigation or homicide investigation of Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes.
And can you tell us when you became involved in that?
Would have been Monday, February 19th.
And how did that involvement come to be?
I was notified by my supervisor, Lieutenant Buter, to attend a meeting at the Marion Police Department involving a homicide investigation.
And did you go to that meeting at the Marion Police Department?
I did.
From there, were you directed to go to the Lebowski's Bar and Grill?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of going to Lebowski's?
Purpose was to talk to Trevor in regards to his involvement with a suspect.
And so did you go to Lebowski's?
I did.
And did you meet with Trevor?
Yes.
Now, while you were at Lebowski's, did you conduct an interview with him there?
We spoke to him briefly, and then we agreed to meet later at his residence.
And can you recall the address that you initially intended to meet Trevor?
I do not know the exact address.
Did you eventually interview Trevor?
Yes.
And did that interview later happen at Trevor's mother's place?
Yes, we met with him first at his mother's house.
And that was on the, or at the Hummingbird address?
Yes.
Do you recall if Trevor's address was Morning Dove?
Yes.
Okay. So did you expect to run into Trevor at the Hummingbird address?
I did not, but I was not surprised when I did.
Through your investigation, were you able to determine who all resided at 4006 Hummingbird?
I know Trevor's mother resided there. And then I know there was two other people that had been there for a couple of weeks, but beyond that, I was not involved in any of those interviews.
How did it come to be that you were at the Hummingbird address?
There was other law enforcement personnel there, and we went there to see if we could assist with whatever may be needed at the time.
Was there a search warrant being executed at that address? Can you recall?
I believe there was, but I'm not certain on that.
While you were interviewing Trevor, were you able to confirm whether or not he had been at work on Saturday, February 18th?
Yes.
17th, excuse me.
Saturday the 17th.
Okay. And were you able to confirm what hours he worked that day?
Yes.
What were those hours?
I believe it was 8 to 5. I know he had a printout of his time card that he was able to provide to us for that date.
When you were interviewing Trevor, did you discuss with him how he got home from work?
Yes.
On the 17th?
Yes.
Okay. And did he tell you he got picked up from work?
If you have my report available to review, I know he says sometimes he walks, sometimes he gets rides from coworkers, or it varies day by day.
Do you recall asking him a line of questions about who was all in the vehicle when he was picked up?
Yes.
Okay. And during that conversation, did he and you discuss somebody, I'm going to call it a Facebook name, Coda Smith?
Yes.
Did Trevor show you his phone and let you take photographs of his phone?
Yes.
Were you able through your investigation to determine who Coda Smith is?
The URL or web address actually said Van Patten for a name. So the Coda Smith was the name that was on the account,
But Dakota Van Patten was the web address that was
Yes.
associated with that?
yes.
Also, as part of your role in the investigation, were you asked or requested to do some follow-up work, excuse me, at the Southwest Walmart?
Yes.
Can you tell us what the purpose of you doing that follow-up work was?
I went to Walmart to take photos of an aisle in the sporting goods area, and specifically items that were purchased from that location.
How did you know which aisle in the sporting goods section you needed to go photograph?
I'd seen video previously of people in that area before, coming from that general area, and I knew what items I was looking for as well.
What items were you looking for?
I was looking for a machete and then also a pair of gloves.
And when you got to the Walmart and got to that aisle, did you determine that the machetes and the specific pair of gloves you were looking for were in the same aisle?
Yes,
And did you photograph all of that?
I did.
Your Honor, the state would offer 9A through 9H.
Any objection to 9A through 9H?
No objection.
9A through 9H are admitted.
May I have permission to publish States Exhibits 9A through 9H and to republish Exhibit 7B?
May, tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready, Judge.
At least get some lighting in there. Can't tell anything from this picture. Where's the machete?
Is that supposed to be the Walmart aisle?
Yeah. I can't see any machetes. I can see some coolers in the back.
Looking first at States Exhibit 9A, is this the sporting goods aisle that you were primarily focused on?
Yes,
Along that back shelf there, what are those?
coolers.
And to show you States Exhibit 7B, are those coolers at the top of the screen along that back row as well?
Yes,
From this vantage point in 9A, where are the machetes hanging in this aisle?
be on the right side.
And is that in this area?
Yes,
And the gloves that you were looking for, where were those hanging?
on the left side.
In this area?
Correct.
So in States Exhibit 9B, have you now turned your camera to the right of that aisle?
Yes.
What kind of sport is this for, Jamie? You Americans are weird.
What?
Axe, two different types of machetes, a baby axe, a knife. What sport is this for? A walkie-talkie?
It's like the sporting goods section is like camping stuff too, like stuff you would take out in the wilderness.
That's the camping section, Jamie.
No, but they put it on like the sporting goods section too.
Jeepers.
I know. It's so stupid.
Is all I'm saying. Hey, I have a story. But a lot of knives, Leatherman tools, and I believe this was the machete in question they bought. I would have had the other one. There's a bigger handle on that one.
Yeah,
And it
it's
looks
so
like the
cheap.
blade is heavier.
And were you able to see or find the specific machetes that you were looking for?
Yes.
And is kind of center screen, is this the machetes that you were looking for?
Yes.
Did the machetes that were hanging on that rack match up with the machetes that were found in this investigation?
Yes.
And when I say match up, packaging, size, shape, all of the above.
Yes.
Is 9C a closer up photo of the machete that I just circled with my mouse in the prior photo?
Yes.
And 9D, what are we looking at here?
It's the opposite side of the aisle. We're looking at fishing and gloves specifically.
Do you want to use that laser pointer that's up there, please, and on the big screen, show us the gloves that you were specifically looking for?
So it'll be these gray and black right there.
The gray and black ones that have writing on the top of the hand?
Yes.
There's a lady in my
And are we
gym who
zoomed in on
works
those
out
gloves on
that
9E?
one, please.
Yes.
Just to be clear, out of the two gloves that are shown in 9E, are we looking at the ones on the left?
Yes, the ones with the 277 price tag above them.
Perfect. 9F, what are we looking at here?
This will be the same glove reversed with the UPC code.
And why was it important for you to get a picture of the UPC code and the packaging of this glove?
There was a receipt located during a search warrant previously with the items on this receipt.
And in 9G, what are we seeing here?
This would be the reverse of the machete as it's hanging.
And on the reverse side of the machete, did you also get a UPC code?
Yes.
And did the UPC code from the packaging on the back of the machete match up to what was shown or depicted in the receipt?
Yes, they were the same items.
And in 9H, are we just zoomed in on that UPC from the machete?
Yes.
As part of your role in this investigation, did you also assist with the execution of the search warrant at 270 15th Street Northwest?
Yes.
Do you recall whose property or who lived there?
I know Mr. Van Patten was residing there with his brother and brother's girlfriend.
But that was the address associated with Dakota Van Patten?
Yes.
You weren't the lead detective or the lead investigator during the execution of that search warrant,
No.
right? Okay.
Are they not just coated? I don't think they're cut resistant, are they that?
Yeah, those gloves are usually like the cut resistant type.
I'm thinking we're losing Sue to this case. Sue, if you smell burnt toast,
Detective,
step away.
I just want to back up briefly.
No, they have a
I know
verdict
that
with the
I asked
Ferris
you a
case.
couple questions related
Oh.
to Trevor's work schedule Saturday night and you being able to confirm the hours that he worked. Do you recall that line of questioning?
Yes.
And when you confirmed the hours that Trevor worked at Lebowski's on that Saturday, did you see a printout that showed the hours that he logged in and logged out?
Yes.
And I want to bring you, I think originally when I asked you this question, you recalled that Trevor worked 8 to 5 that day. If you had an opportunity to see your report, would it help you clarify what the hours were that you verified Trevor worked that day?
Yes, it would.
Give me 1 second here. Your Honor, may I have your permission to approach the witness?
You may.
Yeah, but stuff like that, we that would be in a like a Boy Scout store. Well, we
Just take a
we
second
do
to
have
review this portion of your
outdoor
report.
stores are normally called something
Let me know
with,
once you've had a
like
chance
Boy
to do that.
Scouts in Denmark. Well, we don't call Boy Scouts, but still, we just call them Scouts. But that's where you'll have stuff like that, or at the
You've
hardware
had a chance to
store.
look at that?
Yes.
And after having reviewed your report, does that change your answer related to what Trevor's hours were worked on that Saturday?
Yes.
And what were the hours that Trevor worked that Saturday?
I worked 5 to 11 p.m.
PM?
p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah, Spider.
I don't have any additional questions, Your Honor.
No, you can't buy Boy Scouts there, Danny.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Always on the prowl.
We're going to go ahead and take an afternoon recess, 20 minutes. Jurors, please remember the admonition.
And
Oh.
so
Chance to do that.
Just got back.
Yeah, we've been back for an hour and 20 minutes, but it seems like there's a motion or something.
records at this point. First of all, with respect to exhibits 7A through 7P, which were offered and admitted, I would just note that the state had properly listed foundation witness or witnesses for that previously. We had discussed that, and I had indicated that we would stipulate to foundation, and the state could bring those in through whomever they wanted. So I just wanted to note that with respect to those exhibits. Second, I'd like to note for the record, a sidebar, I asked to approach. It was after there was evidence that there had been a sack of water and some cookies left during the Walmart checkout. Testimony was elicited that those were items that had been left by somebody else, and the witness specifically testified that my client took those items and left the store with him, which would be evidence of theft. We had filed a motion in limine prohibiting any other criminal evidence of any other criminal activity. I believe that that evidence falls under that and should not have come in. I understand from our sidebar, and I'll defer to the state to make its record on that, that the state intended to offer that as evidence of something else other than bad character or other criminal acts. However, I would note that even if the court finds that to be
Haven't
true,
seen them
it
out
still
there.
has to do a balancing act of
On
all
Newport,
the
most
relevant
likely.
evidence to determine if its probative value is outweighed by its potential for prejudice. And in this case, it's our position that the evidence is more probative, or excuse me, more prejudicial than probative on that fact. Again, anticipating what the state will say, I would argue that it was cumulative. There was, and there will be plenty of evidence as to the other items that were purchased there and those items having been found afterwards as well, which would go to identity. And so considering all of the other evidence that the state has and will offer to that point, it is unnecessary and therefore it is more prejudicial than probative.
State like to be heard?
Yes, Judge. When conducting a 404B analysis, the question is whether or not the prior bad act is being offered to show that the defendant acted in conformity with, as propensity. If he committed one crime, he's more likely to commit another crime. The defendant is not charged in with a theft, and so I think that significantly reduces the propensity argument. Additionally, there are exceptions to prior bad acts evidence being offered and admitted. Those do include identity, amongst other things. One of the pieces of evidence found in the defendant's car during the execution of the search warrant were the bottles that were seen in that bag that were placed there by the employee that left the store in the defendant's possession. And so that it's extremely relevant. When it comes to cumulative evidence, it's not evidence piling on the same fact. Even if there were additional items found, which there were, during the execution of the search warrant in the defendant's vehicle, this is an additional piece of evidence that was also found. And so I do think that this is not cumulative, and I do think that it overcomes the 404B analysis, and that this is not being offered to show that the defendant acted in conformity with or to prove propensity for the character trait of being a thief, but for proof of the defendant's identity to associate him with the items in that bag later being found in his vehicle.
Any response?
No, thank you.
All right. First of all, I would state that defense counsel properly recited the sidebar as well as the agreement of counsel that the objection could be reserved until the next break. Certainly evidence of crime, wrong, or other act is not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion the person acted in conformance with that character. In this instance, the evidence is being offered for another purpose and not for propensity, namely being offered to prove identity, in that the item was found later in defendant's possession. And so it's being offered for a proper purpose and not for propensity. In terms of the balancing, court finds that the probative value is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Certainly, there's a significant probative value in terms of identity, that the very item that was found in defendant's possession was also an item that was identified as in the Walmart and taken. And in terms of the unfair prejudice, while theft is certainly a crime, in the large scope of things, I don't believe that it's unfairly prejudicial when balanced against its probative value. Certainly not unfairly so, such that the danger would be, the probative value would be substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. So the record's been made, the court's ruled on the same. Any further record on that issue?
I would just like to add for the record that the court is correct. The state would agree that the recitation given by Ms. Eimerman of our sidebar was correct and did reflect that conversation. And the state did agree to the timing of the motion being made. So I just want to put the state's voice on that as well.
The only other thing I would say, though, is that if requested, I think the defense would be entitled to limiting instruction as to its proper use. I wouldn't give that unless the defense requested it. That, of course, would bring greater attention to the fact. And so that's not something I would do unless the defense requested it. But if the defense did request that instruction, I would give that. Is that something that the defense is going to want? And if so, I would want to do that at the next available opportunity. But again, that's something I would only do if the defense would want me to do that, understanding that it would bring attention to the issue that's now been passed by.
Judge, my inclination is to agree with the court at this point that it would draw more attention needlessly to that. However, if the court will allow me to discuss with counsel and my client, and if we do, we'll bring that to the court's attention so it can be addressed soon.
Right. And if you would let me know before we get back together, in the event that such an instruction were given, I think it would probably be given in the context of, not to consider this as propensity, not to be considered on the, that, defendant is, they could only be considered on this proper value on identity and brings attention to that issue. And so I can certainly give that instruction if it's desired, but obviously would only do that if you want me to. And if you do want me to, then I would like to talk with counsel specifically about the instruction to be given.
May I have just a moment?
Sure.
Judge, at this time, we're going to decline the court's offer to admonish the jury of that. My hope is, I understand, I appreciate the state's stated record with respect to that, and I trust that the state won't misuse that in closing or anything like that. And so at this point, I think with the state of the record where it is now, we'll decline to address it further with the jury.
Well, certainly if it were to be used in closing arguments, its proper purpose is limited narrowly to that limited
Yes, it's stealing from the girl. The girl wasn't part of their party.
purpose of identity, and certainly wouldn't be used for any other purpose.
Agreed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So let's, I'll still give you your 20-minute break, and then we'll start promptly at 10 till. In terms of timing, am I correct that we've got one witness left?
So we have two witnesses scheduled because I was almost sort of this. I didn't schedule this.
Find a microphone.
They're not scheduled to be here till 3 because
okay.
of my poor scheduling, which I'll try to do better at
Okay.
here. So we'll advise the court when they arrive. But we do have 2 more, and that's it for the day.
All right, and so if they happenly were to arrive earlier, then we'll start earlier. And I'll let the jury attendant know to let the jury know that the break may be a little bit longer.
Okay.
But as soon as you get your first witness here, we'll start.
Sounds good.
Great.
Off the record, but you're still going to give us 20 minutes to.
Have a good break.
Yes, the girl would have to press charges, not Walmart, but they didn't press charges for stealing in this case. They just mentioned that he stole that bag of candy. Again, to imply he's a bad fella. He's not charged with stealing the candy. Yeah, I liked him. He just talks really slow, but he knows his stuff, and he makes a ruling. And yes, I have seen that allegedly Michael Proctor have been fired. It's not confirmed anywhere from more than one source so far, but that's going to be fun, bringing him back to the next case. It's probative. I'm golden today. I'm yellow. I like this. Yeah, he seems to be splitting the baby on the middle. He goes both ways. I have reviewed the subject matter at hand in this case at least 100 times. How many late night merchettering have you been doing, Brandon? I don't like the Great Lebowski movie. I think it's overrated. Yes, yell at me now. It's a masterpiece. No, it's not. It's boring. But you don't understand, man. That's like your opinion, man. If I was around 14 years old and doing certain stuff, I might find it funny, but It's a long time since I was 14, so and I don't do that stuff anymore. I just don't find it funny. I don't know. It's stoner humor, and stoner humor. It's funny when you're stoned. It's not funny when you're just watching it. Lolita Smiles. I like the clock. Other people hate the clock. I hate that they put a modern timepiece in the middle of it. But we had a long discussion about the clock. You don't think it's stoner humor? Did we watch the same movie? What about the Jesus? No one F's with the Jesus. I don't know. I watched it the first time in my life. I watched it was last year because everyone said it's such a great movie, and I was just disappointed. I had really expected a. If you want to see a funny movie, go watch Birdcage. Funniest movie ever made. Stoner humor is Cheech and Chong. I hate Cheech and Chong movies. They're not funny in any way, and I don't like. What is it? Kumar goes to White Castle. Bad. He drinks through the whole movie. I know people who drinks through entire streams. Oh, Jamie is saying that. Do I have it here? I can take this off screen while I'm looking.
Sorry,
We
I
have
was
some
to give you
time.
something to do since we have like 20 minutes. Well, he said 3 o'clock, so probably half hour.
Yeah. We can do that while we're waiting.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I was gonna watch it in the background anyway.
The Birdcage, it's just funny. Everything in that movie is funny. Even Callista Flockhart seems kind of funny in it. Is it Callista Flockhart or is it the other one? Ally McBeal. I can't remember.
That's who it is. Yeah, that's her name.
Oh,
If that's who you're saying.
yes. I put it on so we have something to look. You didn't find that funny when the lady was snorting Ajax and making those noises? Can't remember that part. Again, I watched it last year and I was just disappointed.
What did you watch last year and were disappointed?
The Big Lebowski.
Oh, I've never
I
seen
just
it.
don't. I don't. It's. I think it's one of those movies that everyone remembers being really funny and really deep, and then they go back and better like it because it's kind of like Citizen Kane. Everyone says it's a great movie, but it was a good movie, but it wasn't the greatest movie ever made. I haven't watched much of Trailer Park Boys. I like the guy with the glasses. I was snorting Ajax is Cheese and Chong. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a super fabulous movie. It's a great movie, and especially that he. Well, it's a. I wouldn't say the good thing about it, but it just shows you can't cheat the system. The system will get you. Great movie. Jack Nicholson. Sometimes he's a little bit too much, especially his later movies, but back then he was a great actor. Yeah, maybe if I'd seen it younger and had younger memories of it when I rewatched it, I would think, oh, yeah, that was so funny when I was high. Is it because they made fun of Europeans? No, I make fun of Europeans all the time. Just don't make fun of Danish people. Yeah, and I think that's why so many people are talking about it now, because it became a memeable movie. It's Sam Elliott's best work? No, Tombstone. I need a Bubbles t-shirt. I don't. He's the guy with the cats, right?
I have no idea.
Heard that Caddyshack was made during a hurricane. I don't think I ever watched Caddyshack. But I kind of haven't. Caddyshack is like the Big Lebowski of. Is it early 80s or something? Everyone knows that movie. Tommy Boy. I love Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy is a funny movie.
Of course you do.
That's such a funny movie.
Well, yeah, Chris Farley is great.
I need Danish cookies homemade by the baker in your merch store. Do you know how much trouble I would have to go through to ship cookies into another country? First of all, I would have to have my kitchen approved. Then I would have to mark everything down, what I put in there, make sure that the expiration date, it'll be hell. It would be easier if I could find a place and do a meetup and I could bake cookies. Not the biggest John Cleese, John, what's his name? Chevy Chase fan. Not the biggest. Well, I like Vacation 1 and 2, but I think Racing Arizona is better than the Big Lebowski. Never watched it. Tommy Boy was great. Hilarious. Chris Farley is the best. Yes. Well, Brian, you don't have to go anywhere. We have it right here.
Be seated.
So they were hung earlier, and now all of a sudden they have a verdict. So we shall see.
Yeah. Of course you do, Danny G. Some Boy Scout and some rum balls.
All right, I understand we have a verdict. I know we have lots of folks that are interested in the outcome of this case here. I've also heard at least 6 Amber Alerts while I was in the back buzzing in here. So if that happens, I'll just ignore it and pretend I didn't hear it. I want everyone to just understand that the jury's been working diligently on this case for the last 4 weeks of trial and for the last several days of deliberation. I don't want any outbursts one way or the other. If you don't think you'll be able to restrain yourself one way or the other, then you need to step out. All right, anything else we need to take up before we bring the jurors in? All right, we have our 2 alternates. All right, go ahead and bring them. Well, we have 4, but only two are coming.
I do have rum balls videos. Oh, he's a Georgia Peach fan.
I like this judge.
Yeah, he seemed okay. I think a lot of people ended up thinking there was reasonable doubt.
I personally don't think they proved anything, but obviously out in the YouTube world, everybody thinks she's guilty.
I don't know. This is the other body in the fire pit case. It's just because the other case, they didn't have, they might have a witness again at 2.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
I mean, I'd be scared too.
Yeah.
You never know. Could go either way. Maybe there's one holdout on guilty, and they were like, sure, I'm fine with it, or the opposite way.
All right, I understand y'all reached a
Almost
verdict.
10 o'clock.
And is it signed by you as foreman?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, if you'll hand it to the bailiff, then I'll review it, and then I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, I don't really know. I just don't think
Hand
the
that
state
back to the
proved.
foreman.
it,
All right,
in my
sir, as
opinion.
foreman, I'm going to have you stand and publish your verdict. You can do that just by saying, "We, the jury," and then to each count, say, "We find the defendant guilty or not guilty," as to each count.
We, the jury, as to count 5, we find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 4, find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 3, we find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 2, find the defendant guilty. And we, the jury, as to count 1, find the defendant guilty.
Guilty in all counts after being hung.
After being hung, yeah. That is so shady to me all the time. I hate it. It's like you can say, we can't
All right,
make a
anything y'all wanna
decision.
take
Oh,
up?
we got a decision.
No, oh, we'd ask you to poll it.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the defense has asked that you be polled. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We're going to run through each one of you. If you still remember your original jury number, if you don't, we'll give you some prompting. But if you'll stand up, we will then I'll ask you a series of questions, and then I'll move to the next juror. After you see me do it twice, you'll understand what we're doing. All right. So, Mr. Bailiff, Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the juror.
Number 3.
All right, ma'am. Is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can be seated.
Number 7.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next.
Number 14.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, it was.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes.
All right, you may be seated.
Number 28.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 40.
That's me.
All right. Sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is that still your
She's
verdict?
already popping her earrings.
Number 41.
She knows the drill.
Ma'am, was that
Yeah.
your verdict in the jury room?
Yes.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes.
All right, next.
Number 48.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can be seated.
Number 50.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, sir.
All right, next.
Number 60.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can be seated.
Number 65.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your
All right, you can be seated.
Number 71.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is that still your verdict?
Yes, sir. Number 79.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict? It is. All right, you may be seated. That's all of our jurors. All right, anything else? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that ends your service in this case. I want to thank you for
But
your
we do
service.
say, let's meet.
You are now free to go about your day and your lives and look up anything you want to about the case, talk to anyone about the case, or not, as you choose. That is completely your up to you and how you want to handle that.
Yep.
There are
It smells
the
too
media
much of
folks
someone
have
got beaten
reached out
into
and want to talk to
submission.
you. The way
We had
we're
the
going to do
same in
that
the
is I have some
Tyler
packets of
case.
information from them that I'm going to give you in just a moment. Before y'all leave the area, you are free to stay and talk to anyone you want to. You are also free to leave and not talk to anyone. There are many folks that would like to have an opportunity to talk to you. Again, that is completely up to you. And whether you want to talk to the lawyers, any of the family members, or the media is completely up to you. And they will make themselves available. I'm sure the media folks will be out the front door. If you want to talk to them, I'm going to direct them not to bother you if you want to go out the back door and go to your car and leave the premises. All right. So with that, y'all can be excused to the jury room. Yeah. And if the alternates, y'all can step out. I'm going to give y'all that same information. So if y'all step out with the bailiff, y'all can come through. They're going to want you to walk around. All right, y'all want to schedule sentencing?
Judge, let's go ahead and schedule it for sooner rather than later.
All right.
Due to the bill.
We can shoot for the first week of December. Second week of December, I'll talk with Tracy. I have jury trials scheduled the week before Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Carmen, spawn of AJ. That's
the first full week of
quite
December.
a name.
So second week.
Becoming a member.
We will reach out to y'all and have a scheduling conference on when the best time to do sentencing would be. We'll try to get that scheduled for you. All right. But ma'am, you will be remanded into custody after you've been convicted. Your bond is deemed insufficient at this time. You'll be taken into custody to await sentencing. All right. All right. Y'all can take her in the back. If y'all need a chance to talk to her, y'all keep her here for a little bit so that the attorneys can talk to her if they need to.
That is my biggest pet peeve with all of this, watching these trials, is how do you come back and say, oh, we can't make a decision. And then the judge says, well, you're going to have to sit back there until you do. And then, I mean, it wasn't very much long later. They were like, okay, fine.
No, it's like 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't really that long. Because if you went back, if you can't decide then what is going to change your mind in 2 hours? Because you spent all that time, talking about it to become hung. So how did somebody magically come up with an idea that says, hey, here we go. Here's some information you may have not known. And you're like, oh, okay, she's guilty. Like, come on now.
Yeah, now you say it. Clearly guilty.
Yeah.
I believe Rusty was in it up to his eyeballs as well and should have been charged, but yeah. Well, we say both of it, but normally if it, to make sure that don't say klokken 13. Yes, she was the one who burned her husband. Say hi back. And thank you for sharing your mom with us past Saturday. It was nice to have her on as an angel.
Yeah, that was fun.
You can feel pretty strongly, but if there's 11 people thinking the sky is blue and you insist it's pink, it's reasonable to say, well, maybe I'm wrong here, and then change your mind. Yeah, but my problem is they've been going at it for
days.
Thursday, Friday. No, did they get it Wednesday?
I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday last week.
Yeah, they've been going for it for so long, so you don't come back hung and then go back 2 hours later and say, nah, by the way, the sky is really blue.
Yeah,
That's the
that
problem.
doesn't make sense at all. It's one thing when you first go in there and maybe you can't all decide and then, but you don't come up with new information after days and days of deliberating and not coming to a
No.
unanimous decision. And then the judge says, well, you can't go home yet. And you're like, okay. I mean, come on.
Well, you can say 1 in the afternoon. If you do, but I think in Denmark it's standard that you say, like, yeah, you'll say 3 in the afternoon or klokken 15.
Yeah.
They sentenced Lilani at the same time, didn't they? I wonder why they scheduled sentencing for later for this one. It's to do the pre-sentencing hearings where you have the impact statements, you have investigations into what could have any impact on the sentencing. They don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, even if they're hung up on one charge, it's still what would make the difference? If you've been debating about that one charge this whole time, what in 2 hours is going to make the difference? You could get to go home. I mean, that's that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't even know because I didn't. Jamie followed it. That's why she wasn't streaming with me the last 2 weeks because she said,
Not saying that. That's not
"F
true.
off! I'm over at Scott watching this case. It's way better than you."
No. I just did it in my spare time.
Karen retrial continues until April 2025, requested by both sides. Well, that clears up my spring. But no, we can't do it in April because, Brandon, you have to figure out when you can talk the expert into inviting me back to the States. They have a dead body. She couldn't move, and other people around who could move it. Come on now. I heard someone talk about it because Recovery has a call-in show that claimed that the blood clearly showed he was moved with that little kind of like we would call it like a bobcat, that little four-wheeler. I was like, was there really any blood on it for what we saw? But again, I didn't follow the case. I don't know. I don't think she could have done it alone. She couldn't have moved him alone. And when you talked about that Scotty guy, I don't like Scott.
The son is suspect.
Yeah.
And the blood that they found, first of all the blood in the house that they talked about, none of it they tested, so they have no idea. And then they found that one spot. They didn't test any of the stuff. So, and then the blood that they did test was on her shoes, and it was her own blood. So it was, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
regardless, my point is you don't spend days discussing it and being hung up on whatever and saying, nah, this is what I think. And then just because the judge won't let you be hung, you go back and decide, okay, well, that's my whole point.
But Federals, we use a lot, say, om natten, om morgenen, formiddagen, eftermiddagen, aftenen. So we cut the day up into 5 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, you would say, 3 om eftermiddagen. Or klokken 15. Let's delve into Baker's favorite subject. 99% of the people around me think it's a good idea to paint the sidewalks as rainbows and cancel trick or treat. I'm supposed to agree. No. Yes, in the basement, I think they said.
What? Well, they claim he was, but they had no proof of it.
Yeah. She put him on the top and drug him from. I don't know. I don't know enough about the case. I just don't like when all of a sudden, because a judge said go back and find out, and we didn't hear it, but what I read somewhere, he said, "Don't come back until you agree." That's not what he's supposed to say. That's just as bad as Beverly.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was no evidence of any dragging. That was the whole thing too. That was everybody's speculation, but it didn't have evidence of it.
One of the towns by doesn't feel that Halloween is inclusive. Everyone can dress up. And equitable. No, you fight for your candy and steal all the good pieces and let the slow kids have the bad ones, the Tootsie Rolls and the candy corn. It's the perfect Darwinism and capitalism. If you want the good candy, you work your behind off.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it I don't want to argue with anyone. I just don't like that magic. Oh, it's the last 2 hours we need it. To me, that
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
my
again,
compromise.
it could be the right, it could be the wrong decision, but again, it's just a little bit too convenient that when the judge says go back and agree, someone says, "Yeah, the sky is blue," like the rest of you says.
Like, sure, I'll go with you guys. That's fine.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. That's my whole point. My whole point is if after days and days of deliberating, you are adamant on where you're at, because I'm sure this is the thing. In the 2 hours, they didn't. They could. What if they have said differently that they weren't saying to the before? Like, how do you just come up with like, well, this, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and we
Yes,
saw
said
it
that before.
sadly in the Karen Tyler case that that was clearly a compromise verdict. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, because when they come back and they say, well, we can't decide, and the judge tells them, well, you better go back till you decide. I think a lot of people take that as like, he's not going to let us go home until we figures this out. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in my opinion, unfortunately, I think that's the wrong call. And in my opinion, that forces people to make compromises that they probably wouldn't normally. And you shouldn't compromise with somebody's life, regardless of you believe she's guilty or not. Like, you would not want people to compromise for your life.
Chloe, we're waiting. They said they would be back at 3, and
So we're back on the record in FECR 153477. We're outside of the presence of the jury. I understand that there is an issue that counsel would like to take up outside of the presence of the jury in regard to a witness that's going to be proposed by the state. Who is that witness?
Hey, Tom.
Brandon Monson, Judge.
Monson?
Yes.
Monson.
And what is the nature of the issue?
Your Honor, the witness, Brandon Monson, would testify that he was in a vehicle on or about the night that Melody Hoffmanin was kidnapped and killed with other individuals, including Logan Kimpton, who's charged as a co-conspirator in this case, Taya Meer, and then a person by the name of Dakota Cruz. And that during that car ride in the vehicle, Mr. Kimpton was talking openly about some plans that he had made with the defendant and Dakota Van Patten. And then I would anticipate that when we ask him, what did Logan Kimpton say, that Brandon Monson would say that defendant Kimpton said that he had plans with the defendant and Dakota Van Patten to go kill someone, but that he backed out at the last minute.
No.
What is the nature of the objection?
Only for cats as well.
Your Honor, the objection is that while this might fit the first part of the statement against interest rule, that the second part that
Can you
requires.
cite a rule, please?
Yes. Hearsay exception, and the rule is 804B3, statement against interest as an exception to hearsay. And that I don't think we dispute that that would have a great tendency to be contrary to Mr. Kimpton's interests. However, that the second element of the analysis that would have to be supported by corroborating circumstances that clearly indicate its trustworthiness. And I understand that to bring this up now involves bringing in a statement from a deposition, whereas this is the trial. There's no doubt that Mr. Monson, who would be the witness today, made these statements in his deposition, but he also went on.
What movie is Mr. Monson from?
Monson.
Monson.
To say, I wasn't even sure if he
I
was
don't know,
serious
Jimmy.
or not when he said this.
It's from something.
And so we would contest that whether there is corroborating circumstances to indicate the trustworthiness of this statement, to make it a hearsay exception, to make it admissible. And so what we want to avoid today is a situation where the cat comes out of the bag and then Mr. Monson goes on to say, I wasn't even sure if he was serious about it or not, because he would then immediately be, and we would certainly have to elicit that testimony from him, he would then be questioning the trustworthiness of the hearsay statement. That
It's
he
from
was bringing into
Kingpin.
Court today.
You have to go look it up.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Monson's here is the plan to make an offer of proof.
It's Woody Harrelson.
So the court
Making
can
a
make that
Monson.
finding.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can do that, Judge.
How do you
All
say
right, does
that?
that work for the defense?
That works for us. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
I just need a moment to tell him what's going to happen.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Well, it changes all the time, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, bum,
So they
bum.
only have 2 left for the day, is what I heard earlier.
Yeah, now he can't testify to some of it. Yeah, the Monsters is it's the one with that creepy kid Eddie or whatever his name is. But I remember the Monson because that's what they calling him. Making a big mistake is making a Monson. It's a funny movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time.
I have a cream pie T-shirt on.
Yes, sir.
I had a shirt just like that when I was a hoodlum.
Aww. Your hoodlum shirt.
Yeah, back when I wore plaid, whatever it's called.
Plaid. Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you state your name and spell for the record?
My name is Brandon Monson, BRANDONMONSON.
And have you been subpoenaed to testify in this trial?
Yes, sir, I have.
And previous,
I think they might have gone to school together with that girl, and maybe it's for people who's a little bit challenged, because the other guy, the one with the dog, he also seemed a little bit on the spectrum or something. And this guy also sounds like he might.
Just- Oh my God.
I don't know why you're yelling now, Jimmy. He sounds like he's a little. You can't call it disabled, but what do you call it? A little. He might have some challenges in his everyday life. Maria, we are watching trial out of Iowa. Did McKinley Louisma kidnap and Redrum a 20-year-old girl. She might be pregnant at the time or had been previously. And apparently it's because his then girlfriend, who was also pregnant, kind of forced him to do it in some way. They
Yeah, she
chippity
gave him an
chopped her with
ultimatum.
some machetes.
Yeah.
Hey, Sebastian Müller. Been a second.
Yeah, how are you?
That's the word. Thank you. Guy with dog, coolest guy ever. John Gary
Yes.
thinks it's just an Iowa thing.
Yeah.
To
I think
today,
so,
have
too.
you come here to the courthouse and provided a
I think these
sworn
people
statement and a
are not
deposition?
used to court.
Previous to today,
Maybe.
yes, I have.
During that
Hello,
deposition, were
panel.
you asked questions about certain things you might know about this case?
Yes, sir, I was.
Do you recall being asked specifically about a car
AOK
ride?
USA.
Yes, sir, I have. I do.
And do you recall that the car ride you were asked about would have happened on or about the night that Melody Hoffman was killed?
It was the night of.
And during that car ride on the night that Melody Hoffman was killed, who were you with?
I was with Logan Kempton, I was with Taya Meer, and I was with another guy named Dakota Cruz.
And do you remember where you were seated in the vehicle?
I think I was in the rear passenger seat.
What kind of vehicle was it?
I don't know the exact year,
That's the
but it
same
was
seat the other guy was in.
mid-early 2000s F-150, Ford F-150.
Who was driving?
Dakota Cruz.
And do you remember where the other two were sitting?
Logan was in the front passenger seat, and Taya was in the back seat next to me.
Do you recall Logan Kempton talking openly about some plans that he had made with McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten?
Yes, I do.
What do you recall Logan Kempton saying about the plans that he had made with the defendant, Mr. Louisma, and Dakota Van Patten?
I was told, the whole vehicle was told, that he had a plan to go murder someone. And he said that it was going to be that night, the night of the murder. And I lost my train of thought.
I'll ask another question.
Yes,
Did
sir.
he say who he had those plans with?
He didn't really say, he just said two other people.
Okay. So he didn't mention Mr. Louisma?
Not from what I can remember, no.
And what about Mr. Van Patten?
Not from what I can remember.
Well, he didn't say the guy who's on the stand or on trial was the guy who did it.
Well, I already asked you this, but did you give your deposition in this case back on July 25th?
I did, sir. Yes, I did.
Did you review a copy of that?
I have it with me right here.
Okay. And have you reviewed that prior to today?
I have.
Do you remember being asked about this statement that Logan Kempton made in that deposition?
I do remember that, yes.
Okay. Do you remember what you said when you were asked if Logan Kempton gave any specifics about?
I don't remember that part, no.
If you had an opportunity to review that deposition, would that help?
If I did have an opportunity, no,
I'm always right
it would
when I'm
help,
not wrong.
yes.
Go ahead. Can I approach witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Jenny, the brown cheese, it's kind of weird, but you get used to it. And then it's actually okay.
wish my memory was better.
I like him.
Okay, I'm on page 11, line 14 in the deposition here. If you would just, can you read that to yourself? Page line 14, question and then your answer.
Okay.
Not out loud. Yeah, just to yourself first.
Oh, okay. Line 14, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Regina. Yeah, they were hanging out with the wrong people. And so was she, especially if they might not have been all there.
Did that help refresh your recollection?
They're easy
A
to
little
move.
bit, yeah.
Okay. What did he say specifically about these plans?
He said that Dakota, had plans with Dakota and Ken over there to go murder someone.
She was found guilty in all counts. Hey, Brandon, look, a membership chat. Thank you, Regina, for coming back and hanging out with us. And thank you for 1 month of memberships.
Yeah, at the time that he said this, do you remember thinking to yourself whether what he was saying was serious?
He seems like a sweetheart.
When he said it, I didn't know if it was serious or not.
Why?
Logan has been known in the past, back in like 2019 when I was friends with him, to joke around about that stuff.
Did you ask him any follow-up?
He's not a good witness for the state.
I did not.
He's honest.
Questions?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Monson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First, generally, do you have problems with memory?
I do.
And is there a reason for that?
I was abused in foster care and I got hit in the head a lot. I haven't been able to get a brain scan, but I believe it is from that.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's horrible.
We have no further questions now, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Oh.
All right, thank you, sir. You can step down.
Whoever
Am I
did
able
that.
to go out there then?
So you go ahead and step out to the lobby with the witness coordinator, and then you'll just wait with her for right now, okay?
Yes, sir.
I hope whoever did that to this poor fella will burn in the hottest pits of hell. So there was a reason why he was a bit slow. Effing. Ah. I liked him. He seemed like a nice guy, but again, maybe not making the wisest of decisions hanging out with those
Sounds
people.
like to make any record.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly.
And I guess I should, before I let you do that, did that complete the offer of proof? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. So in addition to what raised the defense's concerns prior to the offer of proof,
He said
today,
he wasn't able to get a brain scan. That
memory
didn't say.
refresher with his deposition transcript just to be able to identify the fact that Mr. Kimpton had identified 2 other individuals who he supposedly was working some kind of conspiracy with. Mr. Monson fully admits that he has memory issues in general. And he again admitted today that he did not know if the statement was serious or not. And he gave further information, which is, to our understanding, new, I believe.
Well, he didn't he voluntarily give it. He just asked if he had trouble remembering stuff and if there was a reason. I don't know if that breaks any laws.
Not offered in his deposition that Mr. Kimpton had a tendency in the past to talk about these kinds of things. And that's what raised his suspicion about whether the statement itself was reliable. He thought at the time the statement may have been unreliable. He thinks today the statement may have been unreliable, and to that end, Your Honor, we think it should be excluded from testimony.
Yeah,
Thanks.
can really F you up.
Your Honor, we believe that we've established this is a statement against interest made at the time by Mr. Kimpton, and that a reasonable person.
Yeah, the problem is he had to be reminded what his statement
made the
was.
statement, and it would only be made if the person believed it was true, because it was contrary to his pecuniary and/or propriety interests at this time, and does tend to also subject him to criminal liability. As far as the corroborating circumstances here, the defendant was in a position, or the declarant, Mr. Kimpton, was in a position of being in a vehicle with friends of his. It would seem that he would trust these friends in order to say something that would be so incriminating in their presence. We also would contend that the circumstances are also corroborated not only by the statement itself, but by what had happened up to that point in time. As the court has received and the jury has heard as evidence in this trial, that prior to this, Mr. Kimpton had been with these two individuals and purchased with them 2 machetes and gloves, only to not be with them then shortly after that, and then talk openly about this conspiracy and this plan. So we believe that the circumstances altogether in this case does tend to indicate that the statement was trustworthy when it was made for those reasons. We believe also an argument could be made that this is a statement by a co-conspirator as well.
And as to that second argument, is that something that the state's offering, and do you wish to develop that as an alternative?
Your Honor, given the same arguments as far as the nature of the statement and when it was made, the circumstances surrounding the statement, we do believe that we have shown that this is more than just an individual.
I believe that all of them are in their 30s.
About being involved in a conspiracy, that he had actually taken steps at that point in time in furtherance of the conspiracy, and that the conspiracy was actually ongoing at the time that he made the statement. Clearly, he had not done anything to stop the conspiracy, to report the activity or otherwise. So we think the evidence can show that there was a conspiracy that existed between the defendant here and this declarant, that it's being offered against one of the members of the conspiracy, that it was made during the course of the conspiracy, and in furtherance of the conspiracy.
And you want to set a rule?
That is Iowa Rule of Evidence 5.801D2E.
Mr. Moore, do you want to respond to state's alternative argument?
May I respond, Your Honor?
You may.
Your Honor, these statements are not statements of a co-conspirator. These statements are simply idle chatter. State v. Countryman, 572 Northwest 2nd, 553. In fact, Mr. Monson was asked in his deposition if he believed that Mr. Kimpton was trying to solicit his help in any way in this, and he responded, no, I'm sorry, I can't find that exact spot in the deposition.
Still hasn't ruled.
There is no indication that he was making those statements in any attempt to further a conspiracy.
They are talking about brown cheese. Brown cheese is a Norwegian cheese. I only tried the sweet kind. It's a mixture of cow and goat milk. But I don't think. Well, someone said they eat it in Finland as well. But it's a special kind of soft, cheesy kind of things that you kind of use more like instead of having a slice of cheese on your rye bread with a lot of mustard on it. It's more like a sweet thing you'll eat on. But it tastes good. You should try it.
Conspiracy, if in fact the court believes that a conspiracy existed at that point. Again, I believe that the Countryman case would support that this was merely idle chatter.
You're not Norwegian.
Thank you. With regard to
you like
the
that
corroborating circumstances, would the defense care to respond to the state's argument that the other facts of this case was established in the evidence thus far, including the purchase of the machetes, evidence that the three individuals were photographed together, etc., itself provide the corroborating circumstances necessary to meet the prong at 3B?
Central. So I don't know if they're going to allow this witness in, but then they have one more.
Are circumstances that indicate the trustworthiness of the statement. The facts regarding purchases at Walmart may corroborate the truth of the statement, but not necessarily its trustworthiness. Whereas Mr. Monson himself questions the trustworthiness of the statement that Mr. Kempton had made such statements in the past before, but that were not trustworthy. And to that end, we just say there's nothing to indicate that what Mr. Kempton would have said that day could be taken by Mr. Monson as trustworthy.
All right.
It's not hard.
First of all, I do agree with the defense. These do not appear to be statements of co-conspirators. Do not qualify as such. However, I'm going to overrule the defense objection as to these not qualifying as statements against interest. Based on the offer of proof made. Statements were contrary to declarant's interest. As being so great as to expose the declarant to criminal liability. It's pretty obvious. And I do think the corroborating circumstances are strong enough to indicate their trustworthiness. So that objection is going to be overruled. The court's going to find that these do qualify as statements against interest, and so the testimony will be permitted. And defense counsel will be able to challenge the quality of the statements through cross-examination. Any further record that's needed?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So at this point, can we get our jury back in, and which witness are we going to hear from next? All right.
I like forest fruit or licorice tea or Bailey's tea. I think the one I have right now is Bailey. I drink it with honey. But I only drink tea when I'm sick because tea is something Brits like. Normal people don't drink tea. Oh, I actually like a pot of tea now and again, but not too often. But I like it with flavor. I don't like green tea.
Do you have your own?
Is the state prepared to call its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Brandon Monson.
Brandon Monson. It might be good for me, but there's coffee in the world.
Swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
Thank you, Sandy D. Thanks for introducing us to a new case and for making us laugh. Well, that's what we're trying to do because this case has more breaks than my standard relationships. They just have one when she finds out how I really am. But thank you so much, Sandra D. And I didn't sing for you this time.
Sir, if you please start off by stating and spelling your full name for the record.
My name is Brandon Monson, BRANDONMONSON.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Brandon.
Good afternoon.
May I ask you a few questions about yourself first?
Yes, sir.
Know who you are. How old are you?
I am 20 years old,
And where do you currently live?
here in Cedar Rapids.
Do you have your own residence?
No, it's a host home. I don't know if you've ever heard of a HAB home, but it's kind of like that, but the staff actually live with you.
Okay.
And it's the staff member's house, basically.
How did you get lined up with that?
Through Four Oaks.
Is this some kind of housing where you have staff there to help you with things?
Yes, I'm currently working on money management and cleanliness, like cleaning up my room and stuff.
And do you work for a living?
No, I do not.
How are you able to afford to live at this house?
I get it paid for through Medicaid.
How long have you been there?
Since the beginning of September. I want to say the 3rd.
Where were you living before that?
I was living with my grandpa down in Iowa City.
And then going back a little bit further than that, where were you living back in February of this year?
Half of the month of February, the first half I was homeless, but on February 14th, I moved in with Taya Meer in her apartment in Marion.
Do you remember the address of that apartment or what apartments they were?
I know the address.
Go ahead.
1790, or wait, no, 690 Bentley Drive in Marion, Iowa. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So you
I
said
like
you were
this
living
guy.
there with Taya Meer?
Yes, I was.
And who's she?
She is a friend of a friend.
Besides Taya Meer, were you living with anybody else at that address back in February?
Yes, but I couldn't really name those people off the top of my head.
How'd you meet Taya Meer?
I met her through Logan Kimpton back in December of last year.
And so you're saying you know Logan Kimpton?
I do know Logan Kimpton, yes.
How do you know Logan Kimpton?
I met him through school back in 2016, towards the end of the year that year. And I didn't have very many friends, so I just made friends with whoever I could.
What school was that?
Polk Alternative.
Was that high school then?
They have beginning of middle school through high school.
So while you attended Polk Alternative, that's where you met Logan Kimpton?
Yes, sir.
And as of February of 2024, was Logan Kimpton your friend?
At that point, he was, yes.
I'm going to ask you about a couple more people. Do you know somebody by the name of Dakota Van Patten?
I do.
How do you know him?
I know him through Logan. I didn't really consider him a friend, but I just knew of him, and I hung out with him a few times, but I wouldn't really consider him a friend.
So you hung out with him a few times. Does that mean that you would be able to, recognize him in person?
I would, yes.
And do you know the defendant in this case, McKinley Louisma?
Yes.
How do you know him?
I know him through Logan Kimpton.
What kind of prior interaction did you have with him?
He only gave me a ride from St. Luke's Hospital to Taya Meer's apartment in February, and that is all I remember about him. I didn't talk with him much during that car ride. He just gave me a ride over there.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is sitting right over there.
He's got the blue shirt on by his lawyers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. May the record reflect the witness identified the defendant, Your Honor?
It will.
What did you know the defendant as?
Just one of Logan's friends. I knew him. People call him Ken.
Now, this is a case involving the homicide and kidnapping allegations involving Melody Hoffmanin. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall being in a vehicle with Logan Kimpton, Taya Meer, and another person on or about the night that Melody was kidnapped and killed?
I do recall. Yes, sir.
Who was the other person, if you remember?
Dakota Cruz.
Do you remember what you guys were doing that night in the vehicle?
We were mudding out in Solon.
What's mudding?
Mudding is where you go off-road a whole bunch of mud and you try to kick it up with your truck.
Okay. Who was driving?
Dakota Cruz.
Was it his truck?
It was his truck.
Okay. And can you tell us, if you recall, where people were sitting in that car ride?
I was sitting in the rear passenger seat. Taya Meer was sitting in the rear driver's side seat. Logan Kimpton was in the front passenger seat.
Hey, Chloe.
During that car ride, was Logan Kimpton talking openly about some plans that he had made with the defendant, Mr. Louisma and Mr. Van Patten?
Yes, sir, he was.
What did he say about the plans he had with those two?
He said that he had a plan to go murder someone and that it was going to be with the defendant, Ken, and Dakota Van Patten.
When he said that he had a plan to go murder someone with the defendant and Mr. Van Patten, did he tell you when that was supposed to happen?
He said it was supposed to happen that night.
Do you recall what, if anything, Mr. Kimpton said about how they were going to do this?
I do not recall.
When Mr. Kimpton said this, what was your thought?
I didn't know if he was joking or not because he has been known to joke around about killing people in the past.
After that car ride, where did you go?
We went back to Taya's apartment.
And when you went back to Taya's apartment, where you were staying at the time, what did you do?
I went to sleep.
That's why, Chloe. Please join on the Discord or follow me on TwitchTwat. I update there when we go live.
Do you recall as you...
I like it. He's not over embellishing it, and he says the other guy was known for lying about stuff like this. So I don't think it's a good witness for the state. They should actually have hoped that the defense got their objection so he couldn't testify, because he's clearly not a good witness for the state. He's saying, well, they used to joke about stuff like that.
Sit here approximately what time that would have been?
Between 3 and 5 a.m.
So you think you went to sleep when you
He
got
does have a witness coordinator with him, so I hope they can take care of him.
home around maybe 3 a.m. or so?
Yes.
Do you recall while you were in the apartment that night and you got home and sleeping, do you recall Mr. Van Patten coming to the apartment?
I do not recall from my own memory of seeing him, but I remember Taya told me he was there. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Monson. We just want you to talk about what you remember.
Sorry about
No,
that.
you're just answering the question. That's fine. So you don't recall seeing Mr. Van Patten?
No. But I do know he was there.
That's all I have, Judge.
Cross. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Monson.
Good afternoon.
Generally speaking, do you have problems with memory?
I do.
And we have talked to you about your memory of this truck ride with Logan Kimpton and some others. Do you recall giving a deposition in the summer?
I do recall that.
And we've talked to you about that car ride again here today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as you
Remember to
walked
take
into this
breaks if it's too hard
courtroom,
to
this
listen.
courthouse today, did you even recall the specific detail?
We don't know anything about him. I haven't seen anything. Nothing was mentioned in the reports I read before we started about her being special needs either. So I didn't know that there would be so many people with challenges in this case.
That Logan had implicated McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten with his statements?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember roughly about what I said.
And did someone have to refresh your memory of that particular detail today?
Someone did have to refresh my memory on that detail, yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I feel it's a wash.
You were asked about whether you had memory problems, Mr. Monson,
Yes, sir, I did. I was.
and what, to your knowledge, what's the cause of those potential problems?
It was, to my knowledge, abuse I sustained in foster care. I got hit in the head a lot.
When you were initially contacted in this case, did you talk
Yes.
to some Marion police investigators?
Seriously,
Yes, I did.
And did you tell the Marion police investigators when they talked to you what Logan Kimpton said in that car?
Yes.
And when you did a deposition this summer in July, did you take an oath to tell the truth?
Yes, sir, I did.
And during that deposition, did you tell these lawyers and did you tell them what Logan Kimpton said in that car?
I did say yes.
And that's what you reviewed before today, right? Before testifying today.
Yes.
And did you tell the truth to the police?
Yes.
Did you tell the truth in your deposition?
Yes.
Are you telling the truth today?
Yes, sir, I am.
Nothing further.
Recross?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And to the earlier talk about Proctor being fired, as far as confirmed, he's still under suspension and under investigation. So, so far it hasn't been confirmed that he's fired. Like I said earlier, no sources other than one.
State can call its
stating it.
next witness.
State calls Taya Meer.
Yeah, Christina Rex says he's not been fired. So maybe it's a little cross up in information. And it happens. We all want to be first. He did a great job, and he wasn't a good witness for the state. I think it's a mistake to put him up there. This is the girl he lived with
Get
at the
anything
time.
out of him? Like,
Well, they got that.
yes.
I'm going out to unalive someone, but he always said stuff like that, and
Yeah,
didn't
that's what I
believe him.
mean.
Hey, y'all. My name's Goose Tooth. How you doing? Thank you for being a member for a month, Goose Tooth. This case is sad. Well, sadly, that's the biggest problem about being a trial streamer.
All cases are sad. They really
Yeah,
are.
but
You just try to like make it okay.
yeah, and the good thing is we have a good and supporting chat. And remember again, if it's just a little bit too much, go out, make yourself a cup of green tea, because that'll be worse than watching this trial. Yep, that's what I tell the girls all the time. If you ain't first, you're last. Jamie, I'm tired. You know I shouldn't say stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh,
I just got it. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
State can call its next witness.
State calls Taya Meer.
I can't give out the membership chats, Brandon. I'm because I am a brand channel. I can't even give out the free 10 memberships everyone else can give out every month. I didn't block your membership chats. Jamie, can't you tell Brandon, yell at him and make him
Brandon,
understand?
Baker's a Baker told me he blocked all of your membership chats. Don't.
I don't know. He said what he said, and that very night they unalived him makes him a pretty reliable. No, I'm not saying he's not a reliable witness. I'm saying he's not a good witness for the state because he said what he said, and then he said, well, he was known for making stuff up.
Yes. And if you would please state and spell your full name for the record.
Taya Meer.
Oh, look, give me a membership chat. Thank you, Crispy, for making him more angry at me.
All right, now I'm happy to speak right into the microphone in front of you. You could pull it down a little bit so you're closer. Then, right.
Taya Meer.
And how do you spell that, ma'am?
TAYA JOMEYER.
I think
These are my
all
kind
of
of
them
people,
are,
though. All of them with their hoodies on. Oh, I love a hoodie. I love a good hoodie.
yeah, but I think all of these witnesses will be some sort of special needs.
I
That's
think
not
they're all
fun.
special needs. I think they're just all living together because they have no money. That's my
No,
thing, but
they are. The guy before had been massively abused.
yeah.
The
Well,
girl
him.
the girl who died was had the age mental age of a 14-year-old. The first guy with Dash the dog, he seemed a little bit
Yeah, he just seemed nervous.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Taya, how are you today?
Decent.
Okay. You look like you're having some trouble in here. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, just not feeling good. I'm a little busy and just been sick.
Are you able to answer some questions for us today?
Yes.
And answering those questions, you're going to tell us the truth?
Yes.
If you need a break or anything, let us know, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with some easy ones here. How old are you?
What?
How old are you?
20.
Yeah, and they met
And where do you-
met in a school that sounded like was a special school for people who had who needed a little extra attention.
You currently live in what town?
Marion.
How long have you lived in Marion?
I'd say almost a year.
Who do you live with?
My boyfriend.
What's your boyfriend's name?
Landon.
Brandon.
Are you working right now?
No.
Landon.
Is Landon working?
Yes.
You guys renting somewhere?
Yes.
Why are you
Do
getting
you help
all
Landon out with his work?
Yes.
What's he do?
it's too personal?
DoorDash.
I'm going to ask you if you know a few people, okay?
Okay.
First of all, do you know the defendant in this case, Mr. McKinley Louisma?
Yes.
And who do you know him as? What did you call him?
Just Ken.
Ken?
Mhm.
How do you know Mr. Louisma or Ken?
I know him through Logan Kimpton.
How do you know Logan Kimpton?
I've known him since I was little.
Other than we know that he knew the previous witness from that school that seemed to be special needs, we haven't heard anything, nothing about him so far. Since I'm a bigger person, I'm just pinning up so you can go back to making fun of the witnesses. I'm not making fun of. Someone is in a crappy mood today. Thank you, Brandon.
I've known his,
Jeez,
whole
you two.
family and
Okay. How long has that been?
since I don't know, probably like 5, 6, maybe 7 years.
Is Logan related to your boyfriend?
Yes.
How?
He's his cousin.
Do you know Dakota Van Patten?
Do I or did I?
Did you?
Yes.
And how'd you know Dakota Van Patten?
Also through Logan.
When do you think you met Dakota Van Patten?
I'd say December of last year.
By last year, do you mean December of 2023?
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with him back in February of this year with Dakota Van Patten?
We were cool. We hung out sometimes. I mean, we were friends, but not friends.
So you're cool, you'd hang out sometimes, and
Thank you for being a member for a month, Mama Smith.
Friends, but not friends? What's that mean?
Like, we really wouldn't, like, I don't know, it's just, we hung out and we wouldn't really call each other friends. Like, we just knew people that knew people.
Did you know common people?
Huh?
Like, did you guys know common people?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Van Patten ever come and hang out at your house back then?
Yes.
Did you ever let him stay at your house?
Yes.
That's what I was going to say,
Going
Lydia.
to,
That's what it was at our school.
The night of February 17th into 18th. So I want to ask you, before that, had Mr. Van Patten stayed at your house like the night before that?
Yes.
We'll get back to him in a minute, but I want to ask you if you know somebody by the name of Melody Hoffmanin, or did you?
Yes.
How did you know Melody Hoffmanin?
Like Snapchat, she added me off of mutual friends or a quick ad, and that's just how I knew her. We really didn't talk. She was just on my Snapchat.
Did you ever hang out with her in person?
No.
Did you know whether she was friends with some of your common friends?
No.
Where were you living back on February 18th, 2024?
In my apartment in Marion.
Remember the address of that apartment?
690 Bentley Drive, Marion, Iowa.
Who were you living with then?
Brandon.
Anybody else?
Brandon.
Would some other people stay there once in a while?
Were they not saying Landon earlier?
Yeah. L. Brandon. Let's go,
So you know that
Brandon.
you're subpoenaed to testify in this case, and it's the case involves the homicide of Melody Hoffmanin, right?
Yes.
You remember the time when Melody Hoffmanin was killed?
Not the time, but I know it was like in February.
Did you have contact with Dakota Van Patten on or about the night that Melody Hoffmanin was killed?
Yes.
I thought that too.
Could you tell us first, how did you end up having contact with Dakota Van Patten the night that Melody Hoffmanin was killed?
He called me and asked me if he could come over and he needed to talk to me.
When he called you, what were you doing?
I was just laying in my room, just laying down, hanging out with my dog.
When he called you to ask if he could talk to you, what did you tell him?
I said, sure, I guess. I mean, I was going to go to sleep, but I guess.
Did he tell you where he was when he called you?
No.
Did you end up then having contact with him in person?
Yes.
How'd that happen?
He told me to come downstairs and he asked if we can go upstairs. He tried to give me a hug. I said, no, get away from me. What is this about? Just get to the point. And then we headed upstairs.
So he was downstairs. Was he outside of the residence first?
Yes.
And then he asked to come upstairs, meaning into your apartment?
Yes.
And did you let him into your apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got into the apartment, where did the two of you talk?
In my room.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Thank you, people. I thought I was
When he
going
came to your bedroom to talk, did you ask him what's up?
No, they're talking about one of the other guys. The guy is known, the Dakota guy. So,
yes.
Okay. Can you describe, before I ask you what he told you, can you describe what his demeanor and appearance was, like how he's acting?
He was just chill, really didn't talk. Like, he was just not acting like himself, but like, I don't know. He was just chill and he just had a weird type of aura or vibe to him. So.
What did he tell you that he wanted to talk to you?
Yes.
Did he tell you how he got to your apartment?
He told me that he got here by car. He didn't tell me who. It was just I didn't see because it was dark. It looked like a black car, but I didn't know.
Did he tell you who he was with that night?
No. Yes, he told me it was with Ken.
Ken is the defendant.
Yes.
So tell us about the conversation, starting with him wanting to tell you that he really wanted to tell you something. What did you say to him?
So I closed my door. I said, so what is this about? I want to go to bed. Like, what are you here for? And he was just like, well, I just need to tell you something. I said, well, get off your chest. Tell me, like, what's going on? And he was like, I killed someone. I said, who? Why? What the fuck? What for? And he was like, that Melody girl. And I was like, for what? She didn't do anything to you. Who? Why would you do that? Who with? What was the reason? He was like, with Ken. And then I said, for what? Why are you at my house? I don't want any part of this. And then
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a second so we can break that down, okay?
Okay. This guy was just
when he
going around
said-
bragging. Like, Lord have mercy.
I don't think they are members of Mensa, Jamie. Could be why.
Well, yeah, but it's just like crazy because didn't he tell? I'm just gonna tell you about this thing that happened tonight.
Maybe he thought it was cool.
I don't get. Come on now.
That's But
Well,
yeah,
that's why you don't do crimes with other people. You're gonna do crimes.
yeah. If you're gonna unalive someone, make it look like an accident with the garage door.
When you said, what is this
It's the
about?
best way.
And he said he wanted to tell you something. Your testimony is that Mr. Van Patten said that he killed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he say to you about
I just want to give her a
who he was
cheeseburger
with
and a
when he
hug.
killed her?
He just said he was with Ken, and he really didn't say
Mhm.
anything more about it. I said why, and I said why did it happen, and he just said it had to be done.
Had
And he
to
really
be
didn't
done.
talk to me afterwards.
Did he tell you about whether Ken was involved in it or not?
Yes.
What did he say?
He just said, I said, was it with anybody why did you do this? And he said with Ken. That's all he told me.
Had to be done. That's just such a someone need a little
What, if
killing.
anything, did he do when he told you
Yeah.
this? Was he trying to
It doesn't have to be done, guys.
gain sympathy from you, or
I really don't know. He was trying to like lean more towards me, and I think he was trying to give me a hug again. He really just off after he told me, and I was just shaking and scared, and I just was trying to back up from him, stay away from him.
did you let him hug you?
Yes, it's just very quiet because he just told that she was told by that Dakota guy that they just killed the girl because they had to.
No.
What did you tell him after he told you that he was with Ken and he killed somebody?
I told him to get out. I told him, I said, you don't need to be here. You can go in the living room, wait for a ride. You can do whatever you need to do. I don't want you around here. I'm a girl. Like, that could happen to me. That could happen to anybody. And the fact that you're going to tell me this is crazy. And I just don't want to be a part of it. That's, that's not something you just tell somebody.
Did his demeanor or his emotional, condition change at all then?
No, he was just chill. No tears, no source of sympathy, nothing.
Just chill.
Did you see any weapons on him?
No.
No, I don't. I think she's just very, very scared.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No.
Did you tell the police about seeing any weapons on him?
No, I don't think so. No.
What did you say? Could you repeat that?
I said no. What I can recall, no.
1 second, Taya.
Okay.
Well, no, somebody that could just walk up and be like, I did this thing. I
Yeah.
would be like worried that they were gonna like off me too.
Yeah. She might have a hard time looking at people. She looks like she's not trying to keep contact.
Well, she said she was really sick when she got up there, so that's probably it too. Probably
Yeah.
feels like crap.
What happened to the membership button? You must
Taya,
be
when
on an
Mr. Van Patten told you
iPad
that he was
or
with
something.
Ken and that he killed someone. Did he tell you what he did, what Ken did,
No.
what they may have done together?
No.
Did he offer any more details about that?
No. He just said it had to be done.
He just said it had to be done?
Yes.
If you're on an iOS device, it doesn't show up, I think.
Yeah, you have to go to the website. Like on
Yeah,
the
because
computer.
How did you
Apple
feel when
wants
Mr. Van
more
Patten told you
money
all this?
from
I was
YouTube.
scared. I wanted to
iPhone,
cry. I wanted to, call the cops, but like I didn't know if he was gonna hurt me. I was just terrified, trying to get him out of my house.
Did he end up leaving your house?
Yes.
So he didn't stay the night there?
No, he wanted to, but I told him he had to leave because I didn't want to get killed in the middle of the night or anything. I just wanted him out. I didn't want him around me. I just felt terrified. I called my grandma afterwards and was just scared.
Did you ask him any more details about what happened?
I tried. I said, why? What happened? What did you do? He's stayed with his story and said it had to be done.
I think that's all I have, Judge.
It had to be done. That's such a weird
Yes,
thing
Your
to
Honor.
say.
Good afternoon, Ms. Meyer. Regarding these three young men, Mr. Louisma, Mr. Kimpton, and Mr. Van Patten, had you seen any of them with machetes prior to this date?
Before, you meaning?
Yes, before Ms. Hoffman's death.
I don't think so. No.
Ms. Meyer, I'll ask you, do you recall giving a deposition on July 25th of this year?
I think so.
Yes.
And do you recall giving a statement to me and Ms. Eimerman and other attorneys that day?
Yes.
And do you recall taking an oath that you would tell the truth on that day?
Yes.
Do you recall if we had asked you on that day whether you had seen any of these young men with machetes before?
Yes.
Do you recall your answer that day on July 25th?
No.
You don't recall your answer?
No.
If I showed you the transcript of that deposition, would it refresh your memory?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
And this
Counsel, I'm
wasn't that
looking at
long
page
ago,
17
so.
of Ms. Meyer's deposition, lines 2 through 25. Okay. All right.
I don't think she has the best eyesight in the world.
No, she's got to get it all up on there. That's me, though. Wait, no. I'm more of a.
Yeah, I think they might be a little bit either on the spectrum or special needs.
Yeah,
No,
they did a lot
this-
of things, Megan.
This girl is the girl that his alleged co-conspirator went to after and said, "We did it." She has nothing to do with the murder other than she knew them and one of them confessed to her later. It's not the baby mama.
Ms. Meyer, did that refresh your memory of the answers you gave on July 25th?
Yes.
And did you say you had seen those individuals with machetes before?
Yes, just a few days like prior to the day you were asking, like Tuesday, Wednesday.
And
Did I
did
say
you
not
think anything
wrong
of
this time?
seeing those machetes?
No.
And were they within the context of kind of just lying around?
Yes.
And also, Ms. Meyer, today, you gave some testimony about some statements that Dakota Van Patten made to you when he came to your house late on February 18. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that he told you that he had killed someone,
Yes.
but today you also said that he told you he was with McKinley Louisma when he killed someone?
Yes, I didn't remember at first, and then when I've been trying to remember everything, I did remember my statement to police or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, not I remembered him say that he was with Ken, but he didn't say anything other than it had to be done, and nothing about other than Ken was with him.
Okay. And again, I'll ask, do you recall your deposition from July 25th of this year?
Yes.
And do you recall detailing the statement in which Mr. Van Patten said that he had killed someone at that time?
Yes.
And do you recall what you said on that day about who he was with?
I think I said he was alone. I'm not for sure.
And so you think on July 25th you said he wasn't with anyone else?
Yes. Yes.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
I mean, that's a good thing to bring out, but your client already said he was there. He just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter to me, to be honest.
Taya, do you remember on the date of that deposition that I also asked you some questions?
Yes.
And you remember me asking you about whether you remember telling police officers when they interviewed you that Mr. Van Patten said he was with Ken? Do
Yes.
you remember what you said at that time?
No.
And would being able to reference the deposition be able to help you recall what you said when I asked you that?
Yes.
This is page 45, line 6. Page 45, line 3 is where the question is. Can you just read that answer to yourself first? What did you say then when I asked you that day?
I said I don't remember. I don't know. I said also maybe, but I just couldn't remember on the top of my head.
Prior to coming in to testify today, did you have a chance to watch an interview that you had with the police when they were asking about this?
Yes.
And then that interview, did you say to the police that Mr. Van Patten said when he was talking about killing Melody Hoffmanin that it was he and Ken that did it?
Yes.
Is that what you told the police?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Cross?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Does the state have any other witnesses today?
Your Honor, we don't have any other witnesses today scheduled.
All right, jurors, so we're out of witnesses today, so I guess it's going to be an early day. I'm going to release you.
Early day,
until 9
it's 11 o'clock.
tomorrow. I want you to remember the
Maybe
admonition I've
4
given you throughout the
their
case.
time.
One thing I wanted to mention as well, I meant to mention it yesterday, or I guess Friday or this morning, but there's a camera in the courtroom. I wanted the jury to be assured that you'll never be shown. So as jurors, that one of the rules of our court is that jurors will never be shown. So I just wanted you to be assured of that. So have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Let's see if there's any hearings after, or motions after, is what I'm trying to say. If I speak okay Danish. Yeah, but if he's going till 5, I'm not going to do the night show because then it'll be midnight my time. Jamie, when are you all going to go to one time zone
I wish.
and make
Would
all
make
of
my
them the
life
same as
easier.
mine so I don't have to think?
Any record needed
Yeah.
from the state, from the defense? All right, we'll be in recess until 9 a.m.
Well, the job I do is based off a time zone too, so it's pretty annoying because you have to think, oh, this person lives in California. I can't call them for 3 more hours.
Well, interesting day. Not what I expected when we started this morning. So far, I don't know. Some of the witnesses were, I don't know if they're strong witnesses. They placed them with the tools.
Yep.
We didn't see it, but they showed that the unalive person, which always is a good thing to scare the jurors. These couple of witnesses, I liked them a lot, but how strong they were, they didn't seem to really remember what they testified to earlier. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with tomorrow, and I just hope that the state will find a microphone.
Yes.
It's really, really annoying that they can't find a microphone.
Mhm.
Other than that,
Yeah.
no. I think we'll be back 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, 9 Central. Follow me on the twit or the Discord if you don't get the YouTube notification. I normally get notifications about my own stream 15 to 20 minutes after they start. So if you want to come in and start with us at the right time, you can follow us there because we update live there. More I need to say? Do we have anything I have to grift?
No, I just usually your night show, but if you're not doing it,
Well, I don't usually do my night show. If I get
starting
if I
to,
get
give me that
if I
point.
get up early, no, I'll try to do it Sunday evening, Tuesday. Probably Tuesday is stupid. Everyone remember tomorrow is when you go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, but it is a God-given right that you have to vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain about who gets elected the next 4 years. So it's really important to vote because the other sides are idiots, and you have to hate your neighbor and your family because they vote the wrong way. I don't care. But if you are so inclined, please remember tomorrow is the day where you can vote. Don't care who you're voting for. But I always, as a guy who's been in politics for a lot of years, I always feel it's very important to vote. As I've always told my kids, I don't care who you vote for as long as you vote, because we only have democracy as long as we participate in it, no matter how stupid the politicians are. And trust me, I was one of them. We are all el stupido, as Jamie calls it. So, so I would say go out there and use your God-given right. If you haven't done it already, some of you have. I don't get the rules with the pre-trial, pre-voting. You have mail-in votes and stuff like that. But again, democracy isn't free. Democracy needs participation. We don't have a democracy. We have a republic. Yes, but it's still a form of democracy. It's not an autocracy. We'll be back here tomorrow. One thing is for sure, we won't be talking about neither Nixon or Goldwater or who else is running in this election. We will be talking about this trial. We'll try to figure out who, if any, did it. Did this guy participate? The story the state goes with is, yes, he participated. The story the defense is going with is, yeah, probably not. So, wasn't him, wasn't me, wasn't anyone. But that's how it is. Thank you so much, Sandy D. You've been a member before. Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Little virginity. Won't go to bed till I'm legally wed. I can't, I'm Sandra D. Elvis.
Oh boy.
I promised her I wouldn't sing, but you can't trust me. I used to be a politician.
You can't trust Baker whatsoever, guys.
Everyone, go out there, have fun. Most of you already left, and don't really see anyone being live. So I'll let you choose what you want to do with the rest of your night. Bye.
Bye.
Where's my outro?
What exhibit are you referring to? I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor. All right. 100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
Yes, Proud TV. It's really sad. But interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.